All right, guys. Listen, let's get this going. I mean, this is a long debate. They debate for like 4 hours, so we gotta get the clock is ticking. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, this isn't really anything to do with the video. This is just Andrew Wilson, somewhat recently saying has nothing to do with Erica Kirk. She's a terrible leader and at FemCon, like the rest of TPUSA, and a moron. The principal here is what I'm speaking to. That's him talking about his boss, by the way. Like, he got hired by Turning Point USA to teach them how to debate because they are getting absolutely blasted. So I thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, Andrew Wilson's been begging Candace Owens for a debate. Before we get into the debate part, I kind of want to watch. I want to watch his little like e-begging money because he said he'd put up $300,000 for it, which he obviously doesn't have. Me neither. Even though she debates usually for free, and now it's on her platform, and she's making money on the donations, and she's making money on pretty much everything. And so he e-begged just to get onto this debate. That's incredible. We love to see it. Somebody gave $100. Wow, incredible. So before we get into it, we're going to watch this little e-begging video. It's going to be a lot of fun. Wilson's getting absolutely destroyed. I mean, this guy's obviously a bad person. You guys already know when I had a conversation with him. He has this like one take that always gets me. I have no idea why nobody pushes back on it, but it's like women should be thankful men don't, assault them. I actually would say that's crazy. Then Turning Point USA hired them. So good job, guys. But I guess nobody really cares about that in the conservative sphere. But cool. So yeah, let's get this going. Let's watch it. Yeah, let's watch this. But yeah, $300K for a debate. Yep, that's how much he's putting up. So I guess he's putting up $230,000 of his own money. So let's get this going really quick, though. You guys know the memberships. It's the same on Patreon and YouTube. The small gut gives you access to the members-only aspect of the Discord. The medium gut gives you access to all this members-only content. The EDP React is in here. It's just not showing. It's on Patreon and YouTube. Just so you guys know, starting September, it's in 2 weeks, I'm going to change a little bit of the YouTube side. You're going to have a medium gut to start watching the live streams after they go down. Just letting you guys know, I'm going to be increasing that. So for the people who like to watch the lives after I'm offline, there you know. Now you know. Then we got our podcast with my wife, Rob and Dan, in the description, and we got some stickers in the description. Cameo might be coming. So yeah, man, let's get this going. Let's start with this, baby. Let's go.
Let me give everyone an update of exactly where we are.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, Brian Atlas, a friend of mine who runs the Whatever podcast, offered up $100,000 for Candace Owens to debate with me about the murder of Charlie Kirk on his platform.
Oh, this is actually kind of funny because like she refused to do it on that platform. That took away a significant amount of the revenue that he would have wanted to give Candace.
He eventually raised it to $150,000, to which I said I would match it if we could actually debate on neutral ground. I expressed this story recently.
How would the Whatever podcast be neutral ground? Hey guys, my friend. Okay, great.
On the Joe Rogan podcast. Candace and her fans' reactions were volatile, to say the least.
Okay.
She issued a strange counter that I needed to pay her $500,000 and that TPUSA needed to, quote, claim me.
That's fair. They hire you to be their debate coach.
Now, I don't work for TPUSA, so
Yes, he does. Wait, what?
I couldn't grant that concession.
He does. He's their debate coach. Maybe they hired him for a little bit, but he was their debate coach because they're getting washed so hard. All I'm here, so one, Andrew likes to lie all the time. There's actually a thing going around where he's lied about being in the military. Here's a beautiful thing.
What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
Yeah.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very long, about a year.
He sounds honest there.
Yeah, so did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
Yeah, so did you serve, Andrew?
Okay. Oh, okay.
I did not, no.
Oh, okay. Wow. Great stuff. So that's Andrew Wilson. Here's also Andrew Wilson. Actually, these are just so silly. It's just so funny to watch this guy. Here's another one.
All of the downsides of Donald Trump pedophiles in the Middle
He has one, so I don't
know. First of all, do you know every single person? Were those schoolgirls pedophiles?
It's institutionalized in the Iranian Constitution.
No. Were the 200 schoolgirls pedophiles?
We want to make sure that they're alive so they can get.
By what? By who? You? Pretty sure this is the part that you were talking about. Was it force doctrine? And that you said that women should be, to some extent, like apologetic or happy that men don't rape them. That doesn't really seem like...
Oh, Lord.
That's insane. Oh, Lord. What an insane thing to say. Women should be... This is what he says. Women should be thankful that men don't rape them. That sounds like you want to rape women. Hey, you should be thankful I don't hit you right now. What do you think I want to do right now? Oh, okay. Oh, Lord. I don't understand. Notice how he can't stop smoking cigarettes. And wouldn't that also be some kind of... Now, all you would say is no here.
Yeah, no, the ideal... No, it's the opposite. The ideal from feminists... So feminists operate under a...
So you notice how he's just going to start talking. He's just going to keep... This is what Andrew Wilson does. He supports that idea. Here's the real question, though. At what age should these women start to be thankful that men don't rape them, Andrew Wilson? This is the kind of person that TPUSA had hired for like a debate coach, by the way. Like, this guy thinks that rape is funny or something. He doesn't take it seriously. You know what I mean? We should all be thankful that he smoked so many cigarettes that his testosterone is like through the fucking ground. That's what we should be thankful for. You know, or that he's too weak to really do anything about it. I mean, like, we've already kind of established that, you know, his wife's got 3 fucking baby daddies. I don't really know. So,
worldview.
yeah.
And that worldview that they operate under is very secular and is usually agnostic towards God. Do you agree with that?
Okay. So anyway, this is just what he does. He rambles on like a fucking moron. So yeah, I mean, Andrew, are you the one that wants to rape the kids? I don't know.
But that aside, no, of course not. But there's going to be deaths inside of a war.
Okay, so it is a war.
Yeah, I didn't say it wasn't a war.
Does he need
I'm not going to
congressional
quibble.
approval?
Yeah. So Andrew's okay with kids getting bombed for no reason, by the way. He just, I guess, loves Trump a lot. Let's continue. Wow, perfect face here.
It would have been a lie. She followed with an offer of me paying $300,000 to debate her at her home on the topic of if Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk and if he was a federal patsy or not. Obviously, this gives massive advantages to Owens, but I'm never one to back down from a debate challenge, even if I think the terms are fundamentally unfair.
Unfair. I'm a victim.
We entered into negotiations.
You know what the most unfair part about it was for him? Because I was talking to him privately. He's like, she won't let me smoke cigarettes in her house. How am I going to get through a 4-hour debate without 10 packs of cigarettes? Fuck.
And during those negotiations, Joe...
Also, she doesn't live near a reservation, so we can't even get like fucking cheap, you know, cartons from there.
Rogan contacted us both, asking to host our debate. This is perhaps something you guys don't know.
Wow. Thanks, man.
Obviously,
really
I thought
information.
that changed everything, as that would guarantee the biggest platform for both of us to make our case on neutral ground. Unsurprisingly to me, Candace Owens declined.
Why would she take it? What's the point? What does she really have to gain out of this? Like, somehow she's a bigger, more credible content creator than you. Candace Owens is insane and pushes conspiracy theories. I think she actually believes what she's saying. That's the difference. Andrew Wilson is like a little Weasley fuck. That's the difference.
No control, you see.
What's with the lighting? He wants to seem like cool, ominous, and like, oh, I'm mysterious.
She insisted it be at her home still, even after Rogan said he would come in on his off day to do the debate, and I would still give her the $300,000.
Wow.
You would think if she was actually trying to change the minds of normies and reach a new audience, that's where she would go, but sadly, no.
Why would she? Obviously, first of all, the way that they were talking about Candace on Rogan, like Rogan was not that he doesn't like her, but it was like negative. That's second of all, him and Rogan are like weirdly buddy. It's actually pathetic. Rogan has a fucking moron TBI. And Wilson obviously thinks rape is funny or something. I guess he enjoys rape. So like, why would Candace Owens go on the platform? Like, it's not really a neutral ground. It's more favorable to Wilson. Like, why would you even platform Wilson? Like, Rogan's a moron. That's not really a neutral ground. And plus, again, if I was her, I would have made it as difficult as possible too. And he's literally cucking for it. He wants it so bad. He's willing to do it at her house. Who gives a shit?
After many rounds of negotiations and a new moderator stepping in who assures us it'll be fair, we came to an agreement.
Wow.
I went ahead and sent the $300,000, and it has been confirmed by her staff and to us that it has been sent. I am going to clear the air on a few things.
I don't care.
I wasn't some Charlie Kirk fanboy. In fact, I had and still have my disagreements with him.
He doesn't like Charlie Kirk, is what he's trying to say.
But
he also called Nick Fuentes like a pedophile and said that Nick Fuentes tried to dox him in his house. And then when Fuentes said he hopes that Wilson wins the debate, the little cuck boy here was like, "Oh, thank you, Nicholas." Here we go. Nicholas J. Fuentes protected a pedophile. All gropers are complicit in all of them. Doxing, Life Rue Nation, Honeypot, Sussy Squad. This is nuts. These are Fuentes Inner Circle, by the way. You could have blah, 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 blah. What's your evidence, groper? Swap people. This blatant false report. I choked. Blah 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 blah. Right. So yeah, and then this is, I guess, a clip of him saying, "I have no interest," but then he's like on there saying, "Thanks, man. Thanks for the kind words, Nick Fuentes. I appreciate them." Cuck. Wilson's a cuck. Well, this guy's a pedophile. He doesn't care if he's a pedophile. This guy doesn't care about pedophilia. By the way, he doesn't give a shit. Like Wilson is obviously the kind of guy who thinks that like women who are like, you know, basically in puberty are age of consent to him. Like obviously he would like, you think if somebody asked like, "Hey, what do you think age of consent should be?" He would be like, "I think 18, maybe even a little higher." He'd be like, "Biblically, I get horny to 15-year-olds." Like, that's probably what he would say. So
I just thought TPUSA did way more good than it did harm to the conservative movement. But I will never forget the series of TikTok invasions I did post Charlie's death, only to watch the lunatic left laughing and mocking and having the time of their lives watching the spiral of chaos that came after. It was enraging.
Oh yeah, I thought it was great. Like it was bad that Charlie died, but I liked the fact that Candace Owens went ballistic and started pushing conspiracy theories, because like it helped ruin the conservative movement, which is a bunch of insane psychopath, fucking pedophile rapists, like massacrers of the world. So yeah, true. I mean, this guy literally just justified kids getting bombed in Iran for no reason. We didn't have to go there. They weren't building nuclear arms, and Trump pulled out of the nuclear deal with them. But he's got to justify. He's got to go to town for Daddy Trump for him because he's a cuck. Oh, yeah, right.
To say the least. I know I'm not a very nice man. I get that. But I am a very kind man.
Oh, right. This is like a nice, kind thing where he's like, he's not nice, but he's kind because he does the right thing. Like talk about how women should be thankful that they don't get raped. He's a kind man.
I lamented many times to my wife how god-awful the family and friends of Charlie must feel about what happened to him after he died.
It's great.
Trying to find some new normal under intense media scrutiny, balancing duty and obligation,
duty,
remorse, regret, and overwhelming.
Isn't this guy? This guy's a fake fan, like a fake fall. He's like a fallen valor guy or whatever. He's like a fake. What is that called? Stolen valor. He's a stolen valor guy. What does he mean? He's a kind person lying about being in the military.
Sadness. My stated objective for my platform, The Crucible, has been unwavering, and I've never strayed from its goal: destroy the left. Take them on everywhere on their own turf, outside their turf, at their events, in their safe spaces. Challenge them everywhere and destroy their ideas. Be unrelenting. Never.
Dude, you're a lol cow. How's that working out for you, bud?
Stop, and not one step back. This woman, Candace, has been terrorizing both the widow of Charlie Kirk and the organization he left behind. It's obvious her stated goal is to destroy the largest conservative college and high school outreach program currently in existence.
Oh, did he call me the F-slur when our conversation ended? That's all right. It's because he's upset. The problem is Rachel Wilson thinks I'm attractive. You see, because I have big traps, I'm fucking handsome as hell, dude. She's sitting there, she's like, damn, that's a real guy. That's the kind of guy who doesn't need to settle for somebody that has 3 baby daddies. But you know what? Maybe he would just for me. You know what I mean? That's like a fantasy there. That's just what I heard. That's just what I heard, dude.
Do I disagree with a lot of TPUSA ideas? I do. I would rather try to change them, though, than burn down the only organization in my lifetime to really get a foothold in academia, the thing conservatives have wanted for 60 years.
I think my favorite lie is when he says that he was like an engineer. When he like worked on a factory line, he's like, I'm an engineer. He worked on like a factory line. Like, what is an engineer anymore? You know what I mean? Like, everybody's an engineer. Oh, I'm a train engineer. Oh, I'm an engineer. Oh, you know, people at Starbucks are called fucking, like, they're called like latte engineers now. You know what I mean? Like, he worked in a factory line, like third shift or something, and he would like do the minor repairs that needed to be done very quickly on the line to make sure it was going smooth. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. He's not like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not college educated, which is fine, but he always like plays himself up. Like, he's so willing to lie all the time. It's insane. He worked with Mudahar, true. Well, at least Mudahar, that makes sense.
In the following weeks, I will be relentlessly attacked from the Candace Owens cult for daring to put their leader to the question.
For daring.
And for daring to question the questioners. I accept that as a side effect of challenging what has become a powerful industry.
He knows he's about to get fucking ass blasted by Candace.
Of conspiracy peddling true crime nonsense, which has...
You were just justifying the war in Iran. Trump pushed a conspiracy that they were building nuclear arms, so I don't understand why you think you're better.
A sycophantic and cult-like following. They have been at it for days, going through everything they can possibly dig up about me to hurt me, as there is multitudes of millions of dollars on the line for these creators, and they will stop at nothing to protect their interests, regardless of the lives they destroy along the way.
Yes.
Many creators and private individuals have reached out to help me with this financial burden, and they understand the fallout, which is likely to come for me and my family, for doing the right thing when it mattered the most.
You obviously don't care about your family. I don't know what we're talking about here. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Again, you can't be the kind of guy that says that women do. Like, you might think I'm harping on a point, but like, how many things do people have to say before you go, oh, this is a bad person? Saying that women should be thankful that men don't rape them. You're not a good person. Look at how scared he looks. Mommy, I need a cigarette. It's been 4 minutes.
Now, to be clear, I've already sent Candace the $300,000 and fulfilled my end of the contract with her.
That's cool as hell, dude.
If you guys want to help me in bearing that cost and help cushion the overwhelming attacks from her sycophants, here's where you can donate.
No thanks.
Many of us are in this fight together, win or lose, maybe I can do something to change its course.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry for making fun of cigarettes.
The entirety of the conservative movement. Promise made, promise kept.
Wow.
Thank you for your time.
This is what happens. What, like, somebody puts on like a nice voice. I think that they sound so nice, but they're really just like a fucking disingenuous piece of shit. So yeah, we're gonna watch the fucking debate now, baby. Let's watch this debate. I think it's important to note too that like the only reason that Andrew Wilson like rose up is because of like it was during the don't criticize conservative part, like from conservatives. They were refused to criticize other conservatives because they knew that they didn't have the culture and they wanted to keep their shit going. That's literally it. That's the entire thing. That's it. So now he's like, he rose up, but like he's a lolcow and nobody in the conservative movement really respects him. So now things are obviously going to falter. But anyway, let's watch this, baby. Let's watch this debate, baby. Let's watch. Let's go. Oh, geez, like 15 minutes of this stuff.
Candace.
You got to.
Here we go. Candace Owens.
You got to.
Are we live?
Candace.
Okay, so we're officially live.
Nice.
Candace.
Wow,
Andrew,
this guy.
Good to sit down here with you, talking to you guys about the conversation that I think started with you being on Joe Rogan when you said, hey, I'm offering $300,000. And for the audience watching this, you have to know when you see this final product, there's a lot of stuff that happens behind closed doors.
Wow,
there was
no
still
kidding.
communication till midnight, even some of the stuff this morning. Like it's like you're trying to sell a company. It's the last 24 hours that the deal doesn't work out, but kudos to the both of you guys that you made it work. The topic of discussion today, how this got prompted.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Large Whale. Honestly, like we got to thank Candace for this large whale, because she's creating like this big ecosystem for us smaller creators to kind of feast upon for a while. Because if you think this is it, like listen, you know what? I don't like Andrew Wilson, so you're gonna get some commentary that's like anti-Andrew Wilson. I'm always correct though, of course. But I already can see that like nobody, like he got decimated in this, and I've been seeing things where like he just resorts to insults when he doesn't really know what he's talking about. He yaps over people and he hopes that like the fact that he keeps going is somehow makes him like look better. That's all it's gonna be. And this isn't gonna be the end. People are gonna start fucking making fun of him the entire time. There's gonna be like Andrew Wilson documentaries. It's gonna be hilarious.
It is, Andrew, you said there's overwhelming
harvest.
evidence that Tyler Robinson shot and killed Charlie Kirk. And Candace, your position was he's a patsy. Tyler Robinson is a patsy. So, of course, we'll talk about a lot of different things, but that's kind of how the whole thing got started.
I don't know. I guess, who knows, man?
For the audience watching, I think this is truly for three different people. Number one is anybody out there that loves Charlie, respects Charlie, his legacy, what he did.
Definitely not. I don't think he should have died, but he was not a good person. So
we have a lot of love and admiration for what he did. He changed the lives of many people.
In a very negative way.
Young men, young women. You worked with him for many years. You guys were friends. You've said a lot of good things about Charlie, respectful towards him. You guys may have disagreed on some things, but you had a lot of respect for him. The second audience is...
you don't have to have respect for somebody just because they're dead. Again, he shouldn't have been shot, but he was not somebody that anybody should have respected. I don't know,
the folks out there,
he debated college students and looked good. It was all about optics. That's it.
Watching this. And so for you, you've been wanting something like this to take place, and kudos for Andrew for coming out and saying, hey, I want to have this conversation.
Saying he begged for it.
And for Candace to accept it. So you have the ability to say, I agree, I disagree, comment, do all the stuff that you're doing online. And if you want to see more of these things, any of the three channels, subscribe to them, The Candace Show, The Crucible. I'm sure some of the people from Crucible are watching as well, and the PBD Podcast. The more you subscribe to this, the more we're able to deliver these types of conversations to you. And last but not least, it's about the two of you. My goal is to speak as little as possible. 99% of the time, it'll be you guys speaking, and the audience will be able to see it. If I jump in, just so everybody knows on the back end, both have agreed. In the back, there's 3 people representing Andrew and 3 people representing Candace to do fact checking. So at any point, if somebody makes a claim, the other can say, can we fact check this? I can jump in and say, fact check this.
I think it's good that fact checking is becoming a normal thing. I think it kind of started with Jubilee.
Even the folks in the back can say, fact check this. So it is a very fair conversation that we're having here. And
it's not.
So with that being said, kudos to Michael Knowles. Your name was mentioned a lot. You missed out right now. The last 10 minutes, we talked about you. There's a lot of love and respect here mutually from both parties, all 3 of them here. Cool. And then, of course, the great Joe Rogan that started this conversation. And he also volunteered, but it ended up being this format that we have here today. So with that being said, Andrew, your claim is overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. Opening statements, opening comments.
Sure.
So I just want to like say something right now, because he spoke before about how this is a fair platform. This is really not fair. And it's not fair specifically for Candace, of course. What you guys have to understand, and this is just my personal philosophy, if you are incapable of having a legitimate conversation and you can only resort to like this dumb back and forth debate thing where it's like, you get 5 minutes, you just aren't mature enough to really be having the conversation. Andrew likes to do debates like this because he knows that in that format, he could play a game where he just steamrolls and constantly talks about dumb shit and gets away from the point instead of actually answering things in like a conversational format. That's what it comes down to. I've seen Candace have conversations with people. I've never seen Andrew have conversations with people. He's incapable of looking good in a conversation. He has to try to debate because he's wrong all of the time. Again, the guy who thinks women should be thankful that men don't rape them is not exactly an intelligent person, but he's good at playing the debate game. All optics, no facts. So yeah, keep in mind, he's not a good debater. Excuse me, he's not, this isn't a good platform for Candace. So if she ends up looking good in this, then he spectacularly failed.
And what I mean by overwhelming is I just find it very convincing. That's
nice.
I think that's what most people mean when they say overwhelming evidence. So I have a brief opening statement. On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was murdered.
Yeah.
Many of
one more day and it would have been crazy.
You already know a lot about the events which occurred after Kirk's death. You remember the ghoulish laughter, celebrations, and madness we saw from leftists all over.
You mean on Twitter? Yeah. Just to be clear, when people say this, like it's on Twitter. There's like people on Twitter saying it. It was shitty, but like nobody and like no actual mainstream person was like, ha ha ha, this is good. Nobody was. There are some people saying like this was terrible, but like let's not whitewash his history. He's not a good person. That's one of the things I was saying, but he never should have been killed. I think it was terrible. I think it was disgusting. I think that the person who did it, that's probably Tyler Robinson, should definitely be held accountable. But people like the left wasn't like laughing about it. You had people like Charlie Kirk laughing after Nancy Pelosi's husband got broken into the house, his house, and beaten with a hammer. Kirk laughed about that. He thought that was funny, right? But it's like nobody was like meaningfully like not a real person wasn't actually laughing. There was like it was people. It was like anonymous individuals on Twitter. That's what it boiled down to. Okay, and conservatives did not care like about don't really care about political violence, right? Like again, like Melissa Hortman was killed like at around the same time Kirk was. A conservative broke into her house, shot her and her husband to death, and tried to kill her kid. We didn't hear about that from Trump. Why? Because he wanted to push a narrative that the right is under attack. This is the reality of the world that we're living in today. Just keep that in mind, please.
From TikTok invasions, debates, posts on social media, destruction of memorials, and things like this. Within weeks of Kirk's death, a cottage industry began to form, peddling various alternative theories on how he died. What special interest may have killed him, what nations were involved, and was our own government one of them? Because this was the first nationwide...
I mean, Trump didn't seem to care, right? Like, once he would decide... He has asked, like, less than a week later how he's feeling about his friend Charlie Kirk. He's like, well, my ballroom's coming around great, so I don't think that conservatives really cared. So.
Dramatic event in Gen Z's lifetime. The demand for answers was severe and palpable. The leading theory from the conspiracy verse is that Israel worked with the United States government to murder Charlie Kirk. Within a day or two of Kirk's death, Ian Carroll claimed that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, and the conspiracy caught on like wildfire. This theory was built on one misleading piece of evidence, that in his final days, on around September 8th, Charlie sent a text message reading, "Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes.
Whoa, he was an edgelord.
Cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause." This was sent in the context of a platforming dispute regarding Tucker Carlson. From this scintilla of misleading information, it was speculated that Israel killed Charlie Kirk because he would have successfully opposed the Iranian war. Now, that's a fun theory, and who doesn't like a good, fun conspiracy theory?
Maybe he would have. I don't know.
I like them. But there is no evidence that Israel actually killed Charlie Kirk.
Ooh.
And if Candace has some, I'd like her to actually show it to me. I'm open to suggestions.
She had a dream, dude. And last time a black person had a dream, a famous black person, we got one of the greatest movements in the entire world, civil rights. Charlie didn't like the Civil Rights Act, just to be clear. He didn't think that black people should have gotten civil rights. He thought that because it went too far now, right? So like obviously normal people would have just said like, hey, I think that some of the new affirmative action has gone too far. We should stop here, maybe roll back a little bit. Not Charlie. He doesn't think we should have done it in the first place. He think it went so horribly wrong. Just a nice little factoid for you guys.
But to date, there hasn't been any. There is, however, tons of evidence that a leftist killed Charlie Kirk, just as Charlie feared they would. I believe
that's crazy. Just to be clear, it was the person was like a leftist, sure, but the person was a radicalized and grew up under a religious cult of Mormonism in a very MAGA family. And like people who are like legitimately MAGA, not just people that are like, oh yeah, I voted for Trump because he was better than the other two. Legitimate MAGA people are cult members that are mentally susceptible, probably from a biological perspective, to being like basically groomed by people. Let's be fucking real. And so this person was basically riled up into extremism because he grew up under extremism with probably some kind of like predisposition to being manipulated by cult-like entities. Cult-like entities. Let's keep that in mind as well.
Believe Charlie Kirk And I have the receipts.
Whoa.
No, I didn't have a
You better, because they're going to check him when you leave Costco.
dream where he came to me and told me that the left killed him. No, he didn't come to me a dream and say, Candace Owens betrayed him. That never happened. In fact, I don't need dreams of any kind because I hold in my possession never before seen messages from Charlie Kirk to the security team on September.
I have dreams that my daughter will come out nice and fine, and I can raise her in a world where people like Andrew Wilson are mocked because he thinks that she should be thankful people don't rape her because he's a disgusting piece of shit. And it's insane that conservatives are so okay with rape. But I think that's changing, fortunately.
September 9th, 2025. I'm going to share the message with you today, which is the first time this information's ever been publicly revealed. On September 9th, Charlie's security team wrote to him, yes, law enforcement has been fully supportive and agreed to a security plan and posture. Tomorrow's event will be covered by both my team and the campus PD. If additional support is required, patrol units will be available. I have 11 on site. Charlie responded with this. Okay, great. Remind them.
Yeah, actually, I saw the text message. He responded with like a 6-7 meme.
That they are there for one person's security only.
Whoa.
Because I'm somewhat worried the left is trying to kill me.
Damn.
That was a message sent September 9th.
That's just the guys that somebody would want to use. You know what I mean?
Whatever could he have meant by that? Well, I think he meant exactly what he said. That he was...
Well, just because he thought that the left wanted to kill... And listen, I think Tyler Robertson did it. But just because Charlie thought the left might wanted to kill him doesn't mean that he was correct. Right? I mean, let's just be clear.
Worried the left was going to try to kill him.
Oh.
Now, we'll discuss this more later on in the debate, and maybe I have more never-before-seen evidence that exposes just how wrong and, in my opinion, idiotic many of these conspiracy theories have been.
Wow.
But that's what happens when you rely on what's called the evidence of the gaps. In other words, they don't have evidence, they seem to just make up evidence. And what did they make up? Well, in my opinion, kind of whatever lined the pockets.
So one of the problems Andrew's going to have here is that his entire audience literally exists within the evidence in the gaps, right? This whole concept where if you can't actually prove something, they will create a conspiracy that'll explain it for them. His entire audience already believes this. His entire audience is already susceptible to this type of rhetoric, and it's called religion. Sorry, but it's the reality. God, the religion exists to answer questions that are unanswerable, at least at the time. That's why religion would explain things like, if the earth revolved around the sun and all these other things that it was wrong about over and over and over again. And that is what religion does. And that is what these people were raised on. So this idea that Candace is so crazy for coming up with some kind of a conspiracy theory based on the way that she feels, it's not really that crazy. That's how she grew up. She grew up in a religious structure that taught her to do that her feelings were an expression of God. That we need to answer the unanswerable. We can't be content with not knowing. That is something that Andrew and his audience are susceptible to. That's why his audience probably looks at what she says and goes, oh wait, she might be making some sense. Some of her arguments feel good. You kind of have to acknowledge that.
And I think it's ghoulish to profit off of the death of a good man.
I'm a ghoul. But he wasn't a good man, but
we came here today to debate. And so let's get to it. The debate topic today is 1, my belief that there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk, and 2, Candace's belief that there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson was a patsy and didn't kill Charlie Kirk. In sum, the audience is going to decide who has more evidence supporting their theory. My theory is that the state is correct that Tyler Robinson is the killer, at least based on evidence so far, and Candace's theory that Tyler Robinson is not the killer and he's a patsy set up by the feds. To be clear, this is not a question of reasonable doubt. If it was reasonable doubt, and that's all it was, and that's all Candace was proffering, I wouldn't even be here having the debate with her.
Yes, he would. He's desperate to have a debate. This is how he stays relevant.
It's fair to have doubts, as the trial has yet to occur, and the state hasn't even begun to try to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. But Candace makes a more forceful claim.
Well, yeah, but her argument relies on the fact that the system is involved in it, so it doesn't really change anything.
Claims that there's more evidence that Tyler is not guilty of murder and was set up as a patsy than there is for the state's case. And I just think that that's absurd. And she will not be able to demonstrate that in any way. In fact, she has almost no real evidence at all of her theory, whereas my theory is supported by compelling witness testimony, physical evidence, multiple confessions, all of which are independently compelling, but which are even more convincing as each piece of evidence corroborates the others. You'll notice the term overwhelming was included in both theories. This is because Candace demanded I defend my use of that term, which I think is fair, in describing the evidence against Tyler Robinson. She, on the other hand, only wanted to defend her theory as merely viable. That is, until I showed her clips in which she said she believed the evidence of her theory, that Tyler Robinson's a patsy, was supported by overwhelming evidence. Only then did she agree to defend that position. Regardless, we're both defending the claim that there's overwhelming evidence on our side, so it's worth defining that term. When I say the evidence against Robinson is overwhelming, all I'm saying is that I mean that as of right now, I find it very convincing. I see almost no evidence.
Wow, he's going on and on about this overwhelming thing, and then he's like, "Yeah, I define overwhelming as like I think it's true." Oh, okay. That's not really what overwhelming means. Overwhelming evidence would mean like every single piece points in this direction, not I find it highly plausible. Just defining it like that makes him look stupid, because that's all Candace like is going off of. Is like if she finds it to be plausible. He's so dumb.
Evidence at all, only speculation, unverified claims, and suggestions of things that could merely be hypothetically possible. Dreams, vibes, feelings, things like this.
Oh,
almost done, by the way. I have no problem defending the state's case and welcome Candace bringing up any challenges she would like. But if I'm honest, the reason I was willing to pay the $300,000 for this debate was to finally have a chance for someone to demand Candace be held accountable for the unbelievable theories and claims she's been making.
It's just so funny because he's coming into this. This is like this is his thing. This is his one moment to step up. This is his Rocky moment. And he's coming in with the weakest definitions for fucking words that he possibly can.
Candace's investigation is indistinguishable from a leftist operation. She couldn't be doing more damage to the right if she were trying.
That's true. That is true. Maybe she's just speaking facts. I don't know.
She uses her considerable platform to relentlessly attack one of the most influential conservative outreach organizations for young people.
Oh, you mean like conservative grooming tactics?
She's making a mockery of the online right-wing commentary class. She's harming Republicans in an election year by dividing them. She's attacking the very organization Charlie spent his life building. And she's attacking the people he loved, including his wife. And it cost me $300,000.
I don't think that they really I think that they were in like a lavender marriage. I think they were both gay. But, you know, I think it's a beautiful thing. But she definitely is giving like autistic lesbian. I think it's fantastic, by the way. You know?
But today, I hope that she find the answers for some of that.
Thank you, Andrew. Candace?
Did you get it out of your system?
I did.
Okay, great. Well, I'm not going to waste time with the preamble because I think I just want to get to the substance of the debate, and we'll just speak to the audience. I've obviously had an audience since.
So this is what pretty much when she's like, I don't really want to do the preamble bullshit. What she's saying is like, oh, she doesn't want to have the debate. This is like Andrew's idea because he refuses to do it outside of that, but he's paying $300,000, so why not? Hey, I'll take it. Let's go to Disney, baby.
We've been covering this case. People know that there was a personal friendship between me and Charlie, and diminishing the pursuit of something that makes sense regarding what happened on September 10th by throwing it to this is just people who are conspiracy theorists. These are people who are just trying to generate clicks. I don't think that people should be satisfied by that. I want people to remember that it's important to think. We've been lied to by the government a great many times over,
so true,
I mean, just the last couple of years, if you just think of the things that we've learned about our government. And
yeah, that Trump's running it.
I do want to say this. What's been the most disturbing element, I think, for everyone is that not only does the narrative not make any sense, which I'm going to demonstrate, I don't need to waste time with the preamble going through the points or trying to insult you or pretending that I've been running a podcast saying it's just dreams and vibes like I'm Miss Cleo. And that's the reason why it's taking so many influencers. It looks like $1 billion industry of influencers to dispute everything Candace says. It's not because I'm on my platform saying I had a dream last night. I don't think I think that diminishes you as an argument. Obviously, we have presented a lot of evidence. You just presented a text message and said this is evidence. Well, that's how this entire thing began. You're talking about how Israel got into the conversation. It was because immediately after Charlie died, one of the first things we saw was this push to make us all think and remember how much he loved Israel. It's because the prime minister of Israel, who's fighting like a 27-front war.
Well, I'm pretty sure he did love Israel. Like even if the argument is that he was going to like be advocate against the war in Iran, that doesn't mean that he didn't love Israel. I mean, the guy loved Israel, so
felt that he needed to come do a little mini tour and to be strangely to state that I did not kill Charlie Kirk when nobody was having that thought that I can remember. Nobody was going, I wonder if Bibi Netanyahu killed Charlie Kirk. And then we had a round of influencers who lied and said Charlie was not changing on Israel, that he wasn't having any disagreements regarding that topic, that the day he died, he just loved Israel so much. And I demonstrated via a text message, which you just mentioned, and you're now contextualizing and pretending it was just about Tucker Carlson, which is not true. It was a part of a broader shift that Charlie was having over the last, I would say, actually, on your show, it began since October 7th, which is when I began asking myself more questions about Israel as well. And so, yeah, when all of these things happen in the immediate aftermath, and then I drop a text message after everyone is denying that, Tucker Carlson then comes out and confirms the conversations that he had with Charlie. Megyn Kelly then comes out and confirms the private conversations that she had with Charlie. People then begin to ask a reasonable question, which is, why are we lying about this?
Shout out to Megyn Kelly for talking about how the Epstein victims were actually like 15 and that's not really a child. So shout out. And Nick Fuentes did it too, but shout out to Megyn Kelly for that one.
If they were forthcoming with that and they had said, hey, yeah, Charlie was starting to ask questions. I think after October 7th, it's reasonable that people are starting to re-examine our relationship.
I don't think about it after October 7th. It's more like a couple of months after October 7th, and the response became so disproportionate. People started to question, like, you know, what was really going on
with Israel. We wouldn't be here today. But it has been lie after lie after lie, debunk after debunk after debunk. Yes, I did share that I had a dream that Charlie was betrayed. It's not a dream anymore. It's a reality. I look at what the organization has become, the people that they are partnering with, the lies that they are telling.
Like Andrew Wilson, the rape guy.
The extraordinary people that they're sending out to say that I hadn't speak to Charlie since 2018, and it begins to look like a conspiracy. And just as a historical fact, that entire term was created by the CIA to gaslight people after the assassination of JFK. So it's not exactly one that makes me nervous. Like calling somebody a conspiracy theorist is essentially saying that they demand further answers and they're not accepting the Fed slop. So I'm
Damn, the Fed slop. All right, we got new words.
grateful that you came today. I don't need to, like I said, take cheap shots and discuss your manner of debate or your strategy. And I'm also grateful that you shared that you had that text message today, because everybody watching knows that I have been demanding not a debate, just an open conversation with Turning Point USA. They should be here. It shouldn't be you in that chair. It should be the person that took Charlie's place, maybe Erica Kirk, maybe Andrew Colbert. He's a spokesperson. And rather than doing that, they send us another influencer. So
damn, she's really putting that tie there. But again, he was working for them.
Let's see how it goes.
Just out of curiosity, are you between 0 to 100? What is the likelihood that you think Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk and killed him?
Based on the evidence right now, I don't know. I'd say 75, 85%.
Right there. So like right there, he's losing. He's losing the debate. Right now, based on the evidence, if you were so convinced that it was Tyler Robinson, why wouldn't you say like 100%? Of course, it's ridiculous to say otherwise. Why that 15% is so much more than Candace Owens and her audience, which definitely overlaps with Andrew's, needs. Why wouldn't you say, 100%? Like it definitely was him. That there's no doubt in my fucking mind. I'll say a 0.01% chance that it wasn't him, just in case. But nope. 85%. Dude, that's an insanely high number given the circumstances, in my opinion. So
Candace?
0%.
0%.
I'm at 0.
So
with what we've seen in terms of the evidence.
look at that. Like right now, this is a debate. This isn't like a fact conversation. Do you see that she has conviction in her perspective? Andrew Wilson doesn't, dude. He's coming in here. He's overwhelming, but 85%. What a weak guy.
I'm at 0%.
So not only, that maybe somebody was behind him as a patsy influencing him. You're not even saying that he didn't even shoot Charlie Kirk.
Right. If you said, was he involved that day, as I have consistently said on my platform, I would say yes, he was. I don't know what role he played, but as the shooter, 0%.
Do you have any evidence for
wow.
For what? My percentage?
The fact that he didn't shoot and kill Charlie Kirk.
Yes, which I'm hoping we're going to get to all of the evidence that he feels that he has. I mean, I'm not even convinced that Charlie was shot from the rooftop on Losi that day, based on the evidence that has been.
Do you think he was shot?
I do not think that Charlie was shot from a 30-06 from Losi.
But just shot at all.
I don't know. I think that a projectile hit Charlie, and I'm open to.
Well, I guess he was shot by something then.
Other people's presentations, but I have not seen any compelling evidence that Charlie was shot by a 30-06.
Can we see maybe if we're going to have an olive branch to each other, if maybe we can establish what we consider the facts of the case to be first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you're not sure if he was actually shot. You're open to alternative theories.
He was definitely hit with a projectile of some description. If we're talking about was he shot from a gun, a 30-06, I would say definitively no.
Okay.
It defies common sense to think that he had a Superman neck, and even if he did have a Superman neck, which has been demonstrated.
What is a Superman neck? What?
I think actually recently a YouTuber actually set up Valhalla steel cages and shot it, and it went through. So under no circumstance will I.
So at least not a 30-06.
Definitively not a 30-06 from Losi, 150 feet. No.
But you're not necessarily closing off the avenue.
I find it so funny that like there's these conspiracy theories that like other countries did these things, but they left like why would they leave so many loopholes? Like it doesn't really make too much sense to me because like wouldn't they these areas have control over the police or whatever? Oh, they have control over the police, so they didn't have them in the right spot, and this guy was able to go here, and then we, I don't know, it's whatever.
I knew that he could have been shot at all
with maybe a smaller
caliber. Okay, and then there's some things that I'm going to make concessions on that I do think we need more answers on, and I'm fine with that, and we can get to those things as well. The other thing is in the timeline. One of the things that we dispute, I think, on the timeline is that you think that Robinson drove hours away to a steakhouse in the timeline. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the compelling evidence that you think you have there?
I spoke to the owner of the restaurant, and I have seen the receipts. I know the conversation that I had. And
apparently the doctor said that the Charlie had the neck of a steel. I can't read today. TLDR, doctors said that Charlie just had a neck of steel because the bullet lodged. I don't know if it's credible, but that was what they had floating around. Okay, I have no idea. Interesting.
I think it's enough that, it will be presented, obviously, if this goes to trial. But yes, I do believe that he was in Penguin, which is near his grandparents' home.
Did he give you an unedited copy of that receipt?
I have seen an unedited copy of that receipt. It was not given to me from the owner. But I want to, before we get into like all the timeline stuff, I want to address what you think is evidence so we can keep this on par with what your claim is. Since
Well, I think that that's a piece of evidence that's in dispute. And that's why I'm...
Yeah, but we're
not
trying to get
establishing
to
the
whether there's
timeline.
overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson did this.
Yeah,
so
if you
whether
want to
then
use
starting
the first,
with
if you want to use the first part of that for the internal critique for
like
you,
we should
that's
go
fine.
over the actual
Okay,
evidence
so
that we feel.
The first reason that I think, and I think it's compelling evidence, is that Tyler Robinson's rifle was found near the crime scene. So I would consider that to be very good evidence. And also the fact of the matter is that I dispute this claim that a 30-06 could not have made this wound. I think that that's absurd. 150 grain...
Well, he would know that because he was in the military for about a year, if you guys remember that. You know what I mean?
Remington core locks absolutely...
He did have a pretty big neck, it's true.
Could shatter when it hits the neck of any human being. When you say that there's some steel neck and it's a smaller caliber, you have to make a counter explanation. Why wouldn't a smaller caliber also go through bone?
It could. I didn't say it can't.
Right, exactly. So if that's the case, then...
Oh, he's already getting loud. He's already getting worked up.
Ammunition is going to be the critical key here. And if we have frangible ammunition, which we do in this case, a flex tip round. Well, I'm sorry, not a flex tip, a soft point round from a 150 grain Remington core lock. That's just a small jacket that goes around the actual lead piece. This thing could have split apart in air for all we know, but definitely upon impact. And we have the medical examiner who confirms this in a summary. My team can bring that up, the summarization, which means he would have to be a part of some kind of conspiracy as well.
Okay, so just to start with your point about saying that the gun was found near him, near Losey Center, or I guess off in the woods. That gun, did you watch the testimony? Did you watch your preliminary hearing?
Yeah, we covered it live. Yeah.
Okay, so forgetting what the summary of the medical report was, did you watch the testimony that was given by the Caitlin Oliver, the ATF woman, Samantha Carner, any of those people who went into the science of...
Yes,
Whoa. I don't know why, if they were going to do this conspiracy, why would they use a different caliber of bullet than was inside of him? It does not make sense.
Oh, you're talking about...
The bullet analysis.
Yeah, when they went into the DNA.
Okay, so that's kind of the most relevant part. I'm not denying, I've never denied on my platform or anywhere else that a gun owned by Tyler Robinson was found near the crime scene, right? That doesn't remove it. If you think somebody set up as a patsy, you could take a gun out of this room right now and you could walk out and plant it in the woods near a crime scene. That's not convincing evidence to me.
I concur with the fact that that's a possibility.
So you I think have said on a platform that you were a gunsmith.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and for how many years?
Many years.
For many years.
Mm-hmm.
Many years. I just feel like that's not true. So
you also said that you were an Army sniper.
I wasn't a sniper in the Army.
Okay.
And I never said that.
Sorry, your wife tweeted that you were an Army sniper.
Yeah, I don't know. Like 15 years ago, she said something.
Why? What would she lie about? Why would she lie like that?
She
Changed
said that
15 years later.
She said that it was colloquial. So
Army sniper is a colloquial term?
Yeah, I was never an Army sniper.
What the fuck does it mean? It's a colloquial term.
Okay. What did you do in the Army? Did you teach this? She then I corrected and said you taught rifles in the Army?
No, I didn't teach rifle. No, I taught rifles.
It's just an everyday term to call him a sniper? That's bullshit.
Private citizen.
What?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I was an NRA instructor for many years alongside my gun shop.
As with your expertise.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we just found out that Andrew and his wife are lying about him being in the military. Okay, cool.
When she gave...
That's what's going to be a little more damaging here, is that like Candace is subtle in her insults and she just casts doubt and she doesn't have to like affirm it. Like she's not going to push him hard on that point. She's going to bring it up. She's going to get him to talk. She's going to be like, interesting, and then move on. But now people already are like, what the fuck? This guy's an idiot. She doesn't like, for Andrew, his audience is like they need it to be beaten into their head, this idea. But like, no, everybody else is like, oh, that's weird. That's a weird thing. Oh, your wife said this. Oh no, it's just like a everyday use term. You're calling somebody a sniper is an everyday use term? What the fuck are we talking about?
Testimony on the stand, Samantha Carner, that there was dust and there was debris that was found in the gun barrel.
Yep.
And then when we had the person who, and this was, I believe, Caitlin Oliver, who explained painfully about the DNA, the prints.
Well, let's start with a point at a time.
I'm not done. You said something, so I'm going to finish my thought, right?
You don't want to do a point at a time?
No, well, sure. If you want to respond.
He's just trying. So what's happening right now is like he's doing a thing. He's trying to get her to forget where she was in place. He does this all the time. He knows that he's like really weak on this, and that he looks like like a moron. So now he's just like, he wants to move on from the point.
Well, I want you to respond to 2 points. I want you to start with 2 points.
Okay.
Dust and debris in the gun barrel.
Yeah.
Secondly, the fact that there were 5 sets of prints, 5+ actually by the end of the testimony, 5 sets of prints for which we already had the woman who worked for the FBI forensics testify that above 2 prints, if you're taking a sample, it's no longer a science, right? She testified that when they took the sample of what was on the trigger, they saw 5+ prints. And among those 5+ prints, Tyler Robinson's...
Probably some paw prints, because I imagine Tyler Robinson was like a furry.
...was the most degraded. So I would like you to explain how Tyler Robinson's prints could be the most degraded when she said, actually, you could have DNA on something that you've touched. You could have DNA on something that you've never touched. And to get DNA degradation, they've looked at pieces, items 20, 40 years on that don't have degradation. Yet Tyler Robinson's prints, amongst 5+ other prints, were
And maybe he just tried to scrub them off, honestly. Like, maybe that's what he did.
the most degraded on that weapon.
Yeah. So let's get into all three of the claims. First, with debris. When it comes to debris, firing a rifle doesn't always blow the debris out of the barrel.
Okay, you think there could be debris and dust.
Yeah.
He just fired the weapon.
Sure.
Okay.
Not only that, he left it in a forest. Now, I don't know if you agree with me, but
Maybe a bear pissed on it.
if you leave a rifle in a wooded area, it's also possible that debris could get in that way. But I'm not even sure that that's what the case is. I think it's far more likely that you fired the shot, it just didn't blow all the debris out, and it often doesn't. You'll find this if you take Grandpappy's.
I looked it up, and apparently he's just wrong. Apparently firing a shot does blow debris out of a weapon. I don't know what he's talking about.
Dirty rifle, and it's all dusty inside the bore, and you go fire it. You'll often look down the bore, and there's still dust.
Okay.
Happens all the time.
Okay. And the prints?
I don't know if that's true, but okay.
Yeah, so the prints, we don't know all of the details on just yet.
We do. It was excruciatingly long testimony on the prints.
We don't, because they haven't gone to trial, so we don't know on the print front. But Tyler Robinson's DNA was on there. You made the claim that Lance Twiggs' DNA was on there, and it was not.
Well, when she gave the testimony, first let's go to your first point, because that's wrong. We can get a fact check on that. What do you mean we don't know until it goes to trial about the degraded prints? She testified, and this is the person who took the prints.
Yes, but the problem is that inside of this particular testimony, you agree with me that there's going to be much more of the DNA analysis in the trial, right?
But you also would agree that her fact is not going to change, that among the prints, his was the most degraded. So I'm asking you to address that. How could that be possible?
Let's give it, let's just grant this for a second as a
He's going to grant it because he can't fight against it. So we'll pretend it's true.
possibility that his fingerprints were degraded.
It's not a possibility. It's a fact. The person who took it.
I'm just granting it for the sake of argument.
You should grant it because it's a fact that she presented.
So now it's granted.
She's pushing correctly because he doesn't really know what to do with this information. I doubt he even watched what she's talking about to even counter it or contest it. And so he's like, well, let's just grant it's true. This way, now moving forward, people will have a casting doubt in it. And she's like, no, it is true. And she's like reinforcing it. It's smart.
Granted. So what?
What do you mean, so what?
Yeah, so what? What does that prove?
It proves that if his prints were the most degraded amongst 5 of them, you're going to have to explain how that's possible if he's the one that recently fired the weapon.
Yeah, so wait a second. You're saying that it's an impossibility that if his fingerprints are the most degraded,
I'm telling you to explain it. You're the gunsmith.
Well,
so
wait a
explain
second. How would
He's just going to keep restating what she said because he doesn't know what to say. He's stalling for time and trying to figure out a way to counter it.
a gunsmith give an analysis on fingerprints or DNA? Do you think that I work in a DNA laboratory
so
with
your
fingerprints?
answer is I don't know. You can just say you don't know.
But
you don't
did.
have to.
But I did.
No, you said so what? So
Yeah,
say
so-
I don't know.
but
I
what
actually
would
don't
that-
have an
what would
explanation
that
for that,
prove,
Candace.
though, is my question.
Well, I think that what it would prove is that it is a more viable theory that people who had stronger prints on the gun may have used it more recently.
Did they say who else had fingerprints on the gun?
They named Matt Robinson explicitly.
Okay.
And this was a part of the testimony where she was speaking about
See, he didn't watch it.
how they got samples of elimination samples from the home of Amber Robinson, Matt Robinson, and Lance Twiggs. Those were the 3 names they named.
So are you saying that Twiggs
Would you like me to
fingerprints-
finish my statement?
I just want to make sure I'm clarifying.
I'm trying to finish the answer, but it can't be clarified until the answer comes out of my mouth.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
This was a portion of her testimony where she was explaining how they got elimination samples from the home. And she named Matt Robinson, Amber Robinson, and Lance Twiggs as the elimination samples that she was using. And so she explicitly said, some of them, so we can assume 2 out of the 3, their prints were found on the gun. She explicitly named Matt Robinson as someone who had prints on the gun, and then said there were 5 people that they had taken that sample from. And again, what's also relevant here is the earlier testimony, which came from the FBI.
Maybe his prints were degraded from it because he was jacking off, and so like a little bit of cum were on his hands, so not all of like the, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? It doesn't, but I have no idea.
Forensics analyst, I believe it was on day 2, where she said that when you're using those mixtures and those samples and you get up to 5+, it's really hard to make any sort of a determination. So both of those things are relevant. If you can't explain why his prints are the most degraded and you're saying he is the shooter, it's not really a so what. It's an open-ended question that people have
I suppose so.
a right to pursue. It's not a conspiracy. It's actually proof of my claim that there's evidence that he was set up as a patsy.
That wouldn't prove anything about him being a patsy.
It said it's evidence to support the claim that he could have been set up as a patsy.
So this is why I said earlier, so what? Because even if it's the case, this doesn't have an explanation for it yet. That doesn't actually give you any evidence in your corner for Tyler Robinson being a patsy.
Okay.
I kind of does. I mean, I don't know if what she's saying is true. And I don't know if this is true. But if the evidence is that degraded, like why? Like that? Wouldn't his be the least degraded? I don't know. Maybe oil from other people's hands fucked something up. I don't know.
Hang on. I didn't cut you off. right? You would need to actually explain how this would demonstrate Tyler Robinson. This is tied into Robinson being a patsy. Are you claiming that these fingerprints were Lance Twiggs or that he had any DNA there?
I'm saying that it could be Matt Robinson, it could be Amber Robinson. That sort of information is going to come out during the trial.
How would that tie into the idea that he's a patsy?
Yes,
though?
because if his is the most degraded prints and the information that I shared on my platform is true, that this gun was given to Tyler Robinson as an heirloom. I had conversation with members of the Robinson family, Twiggs family, both of them. You know, like I said, we're not just dreaming.
Well, wouldn't that make sense that they would give her like misleading information potentially to try to like get him off or something? Like, but okay.
And if we're having those conversations and they told me that that gun was only given to Tyler Robinson because it was a family heirloom. Okay. So it was his grandfather's gun or great grandfather's gun. I don't remember the difference. I don't remember which one it was. And so he got it because he's the firstborn. So, but he's not much of a shooter is what I was told.
Okay. I mean, I guess one of the answers, maybe he was wearing gloves. Wouldn't that degrade the DNA? Like maybe they all touched the gun, but Tyler Robinson put a glove on this time, so his original fingerprints were more degraded. But these, or the DNA, not fingerprints. I don't know. Maybe that's the answer.
And so he has this because he inherited it, essentially. So if I get something from my grandpa and I put it up on the shelf and I own this, you could see that could be.
How do we get to the patsy part?
You don't let me ever get to the end of the sentence. So how could we get to the patsy part?
Okay,
if I can't get to the end of the sentence.
Doesn't that make sense though? Like let's say 4 people touch the gun, and like I'm the first one to touch it, and then like you touch it, then blah 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 blah, like over the period of weeks, and then like I use gloves this time to touch it. Wouldn't that reduce? Yeah, like that might not degrade fingerprints, but that would not set new fingerprints, right?
So that could be a reasonable explanation as to why there was dust in the barrel, because he doesn't often shoot this weapon and he is indeed a fisher. And it could also be a reasonable explanation for why we have Matt Robinson's prints on this. Obviously, Lance Twiggs, even if he has prints on things, they live together, that doesn't really mean anything. But that could demonstrate that somebody took his weapon and put it somewhere. His prints are the most degraded. Somebody else's prints, there's more presence of somebody else's prints, and that could demonstrate that somebody is taking items from his house and putting it into various places.
But it also could demonstrate nothing. So the problem that you have here is that this is
the problem that Andrew has here is that Andrew can't provide a counter argument other than, well, it doesn't mean that you're right. Right? Like if you were asked this question, like again, you might answer like, well, maybe he was wearing gloves this time and the original degradation was from his DNA from 5 years ago or something, whatever. And that's why his like a counter argument. What is the potential counter argument? I mean, this is the guy that pretends that he was a sniper in the fucking military when he wasn't, but he did teach at the NRA, I guess, for a day. I don't know what the fuck that means. So, like, why wouldn't you be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe it was this. That would make the most sense. All right.
Pure conjecture.
No,
this is not.
My wife gave me a donut.
Evidence that Tyler Robinson is a patsy. It's only evidence that you have conjectured up that. Well, if it's the case that these are the more degraded prints, then therefore that means must be patsy because dad's fingerprints on gun.
I didn't say must be patsy.
Describe how this actually links in to Robinson being a patsy.
Okay,
So again, what you'd want to do is you'd want to propose like a counter. You'd want to propose a counter argument, like, oh, maybe it was this. He just can't do it because he's fucking dumb as shit.
Just describe that for you, so I can explain it.
Andrew doesn't have on the fly arguments. Everything that Andrew comes up with, he comes up with like fucking 5 years before. He's a dialogue tree. He does dialogue tree, so he can't come up with something on the fly that seems like plausible. Everything that he says is always pre-planned. That's it. That's all it is.
But I can't understand it for you, so I'm going to move on from that. But to just go back to your point about this is not evidence, you can't make that claim because the entire basis for why you think that there is evidence for Tyler Robinson being the person that took the shot is based off of a hearing under Utah 1102 rules, meaning that they are doing the exact same thing that I am doing. This is the state. You said you're here to represent the state. Well, did you watch the preliminary hearing?
I didn't say I was here to represent the state.
The state's position you think is strong and convincing.
What I'm here to do is represent my own opinion.
You said in your opening statement.
This is another debate tactic from Andrew Wilson. When you pin him down on his point, which is totally reasonable. Yeah, you're debating the state's perspective, which is true. No, actually, he will never let you pin him down on anything at all. He plays the game because he knows he has weak perspectives. Like when he talks about morality, he's like, well, what's your moral code? And then he'll be like, well, what's yours? Well, I don't have to tell you until I can get you pinned down on yours. He believes in God, which is fine, but like you believe in something that's unprovable. You believe in a magical Jewish wizard that does party tricks. That's totally cool. You know, we're thinking about hiring somebody like that for my mother-in-law's birthday, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, like, you know, you don't really have like that. You can't pin him down because he's just going to like quote a book, which is basically the rough draft of Lord of the Rings. This is I'm being silly, but like this is the game that he plays. That's it.
On the evidence presented so far by the state.
The state has presented evidence under Utah's 1102 rule.
But this doesn't demonstrate any patsy
No, that's
behavior.
very important because that rule is hearsay. So you can't say at the same time, Candace, you're not allowed to, and what that means under the Utah rule, which I'm sure you know, because I'm sure you watched the preliminary hearing and yourself understand what that means, is that the entire hearing was hearsay. It means none of that information that was presented is going to be allowed, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it is not going to be allowed at the trial. They're allowed to present when it's just a probative hearing.
I don't think all the evidence that was put in was hearsay.
Okay, you didn't watch this case.
But not only that, no,
this is a huge point. This
this
is crazy that you don't know this.
Fact check. If
yes,
all the evidence
we need more than a
put
fact
in,
check. This was
Of course it's not. Of course he didn't watch any of this. He thinks this is a slam dunk. He's dumb as shit.
every single
the
day.
team in the back is
Utah
actually
Rule
saying
1102.
They want to go there. So they said there's a medical examiner's explanation of the shooting.
It doesn't matter whether Candace is right or wrong. She is so educated on her like theory, which I would say is a conspiracy theory. You can't just walk into this. It would have been better to just like let her burn herself out. But this is for but Andrew. Andrew is doing two things. One thing Andrew is doing is he wants clout. Number two is like definitely like Erica Kirk told him to do this as like a way to be to defend the situation because they think he's such a good debater. That's why they hired him as a debate coach for their fucking idiots at TBUSA. But I guarantee you that Charlie wouldn't have been dumb enough to fucking hire this moron. He's a lolcow. The only reason Andrew looked good was because, like, again, everybody on the right was like galvanized and they weren't criticizing each other, even if they hated each other. That's changed now. The right has the narrative. So
that's in the back. Rob, if you want to pull it up, and then Candace, if anybody from your team wants to pull something up, no problem as well. But they're requesting it. If you guys got it, pull it up so we can show it. And in the interim, is that it?
Yeah. So I'll read this.
Just what are we looking at, just so we know?
Yeah, so this says the bullet, or at least part of it, sequentially perforated the interior left of Mr. Kirk's neck, strap muscles of the left side of the neck. This is a summary, by the way. Left common cartoid on the left internal external jugular veins. The bullet also obliterated the left side C27 vertebrae, transacted the cervical spinal cord. The medical examiner observed a significant portion of Kirk's cervical spinal cord was traumatically absent. Mr. Kirk suffered from other severe injuries, including bilateral, apical, and posterior intercausal hemorrhages, pulmonary, apical hemorrhages, multiple disruptions to the thyroid, et cetera, et cetera. So the summary of
thyroid problems, it's a very feminine thing to have, all right?
The examinations that he was shot.
Okay.
That was what they were pulling that up for.
Okay, and I'm not disputing that he could have been hit with a projectile. We're not disputing that, so I don't know why this was brought up as a fact check.
It's true. That's what she established.
Could you bring up 1102 Utah Rule? Because this is an unbelievable point that you're making by saying that I am not allowed to infer off of evidence.
You can infer. I'm trying to follow the inference.
But your entire reason, like you asserted that you believe there's overwhelming evidence on the basis of what we saw in the preliminary hearing. The entire preliminary hearing was hearsay.
Yeah, I'm fine with your inferences.
No, you just literally said I couldn't do that. Yes, I can.
No, I didn't. I'm just saying from your inference, how do we get to Patsy?
This is how you got to Shooter. Tyler Robinson did it the same way that you got to Tyler
Robinson. From that.
Yes, you did. You again.
I mean, that is true. You got to Tyler Robinson as the shooter based on this information. So, I mean, he's not wrong. Dude, she's doing a great job. I think she's wrong, but you know what, dude? She's got a point.
This is something important, so we should pull up a fact check about what the 1102 Utah, under their constitution.
Because all we really saw is the video of him getting hit by something. That's the only thing that we've all seen, we'll say firsthand. I mean, it's through a video, but you understand my point. So everything else is hey, what are they saying about it? Oh, okay, well, they said this about it, so I think this, right?
For the sake of a preliminary hearing, they do not have to have hard evidence. They don't have to put people on the trial.
They don't have to.
But no, that's why the entire hearing was basically hearsay. Officer Bagley
but
was
not
saying,
all of it, like I said.
The overwhelming majority.
Again, no dispute.
Wow.
Outside of the one that you don't want to give. Please don't cut me off.
Though.
Outside of that is what's in dispute. It means that your entire brand of saying you don't have evidence falls apart when the entire preliminary hearing is based off of hearsay. In fact, Lance's testimony before they had about an hour debate, actually maybe it was more than an hour debate before he sat, and they said this is not going to be allowed. You wouldn't even be allowed to do this. We'd be able to cross-examine him. The questions that they're asking Lance are all leading. And what did he say? Well, I'm the magistrate under Utah Constitution. 1102. It is my job to allow all of this so we can see if the state has enough here that we can then move to a trial, which will then, they would not allow this stuff. They would say we get to cross-examine Lance. Lance just can't willy-nilly say,
I'm not disputing.
But the entire substance of your argument is that people can't infer off of evidence.
No,
that's what you're saying to
not.
me. When you say, Candace,
Here,
you
I'll
can't
give
talk
you the
about the graded
argument
prints, which is a
now.
fact.
Yeah, I'm not
and
saying
then infer
that.
off of that
Didn't say that.
Tyler could have been a patsy.
You're just literally making stuff up. So here's what
he can't stop. He knows he's cooked. When Andrew keeps interrupting, that's when you know that he's absolutely fucking cooked because he has nothing. He's got nothing. He doesn't know what else to say. He's cooked as a motherfucker.
The position is, I'm asking this.
Well,
I'm
have Rule
saying
1102
that I
ready.
think you,
Wanna
let's
do
pull
it?
that out. Let's pull
By the way, Patrick, this is when you would tell Andrew to shut the fuck up and let Candace finish. But
that up.
How
I'm
do you
doing,
get
I am
there
doing
from the
exactly what the
inference?
state
yeah,
did.
he's shaking. His feet are going off.
I'm looking at a piece of evidence, and I am saying,
But you're not showing me
I'm-
how you get there
Can you
from the
describe to the
inference?
audience what Rule
yes.
1102
So
means?
this, just so everybody
He wants to make sure that she can't clarify and like pin her position down productively. So he's going to keep talking over her to make it seem like she has no point, but he's just trying to interrupt her, and people know that that's what he's trying to do.
who's watching this at home understands what I'm saying, even if he doesn't. What Andrew is arguing is that I don't have the right to extrapolate from a
made that
fact
argument.
like
Just making it up. Just purely making it up.
He can't finish. He can't let her finish. He's terrified of her perspective.
I'm asking based on
Andrew,
based on
can I
your
show my
inference.
evidence? You just showed yours. Reliable hearsay.
You'll get a chance.
Reliable hearsay in criminal preliminary examinations. The entire preliminary hearing that you just saw was on the basis of reliable hearsay, and what that means is that
That's true. Honestly, like this is cigarette time for Andrew. I'm not kidding. Like this guy's like legitimately addicted to cigarettes. Like there's no debate that he does where he doesn't smoke like 10 cigarettes. It's actually very strange. It's the most obese behavior I've ever seen. Like it would be like if somebody couldn't get through like a live stream without having like a fucking, strawberry donut from Dunkin' Donuts. Like this guy is so fucking like addicted to cigarettes. Like he has no impulse control whatsoever. He's already shaking. Like you see his feet like shaking back and forth. He's shaking so much because he's so addicted to cigarettes that he can't like. He's so jittery. Like that's what he's like. He's a slob. Like, is being cigarette addicted the way that Andrew is the same as being like addicted to food. He's a fucking slob. That's what it comes down to. Like, I was just saying.
essentially is the people who are making the statements can just say, Patrick told me
And you guys know I hate speaking negatively of cigarettes. You know what I'm saying?
that he did this on Monday. Patrick's not here, and that is they can allow that into the hearing. That's just because it's just meant to be probative. And so it's the state saying, here's what we have inferred. So you are allowed to take a piece of evidence and then you are allowed to infer off of that evidence. Okay. Case in point, that's a demonstration that's a demonstration of what I just did. I said the prints were the most degraded off of Tyler Robinson. And from that, what I am inferring is that it's plausible that Tyler Robinson was set up.
That doesn't. That's the point in contention.
That's not a point in contention. That's
the point in contention.
It's not a point in contention. If you're saying
it is the point in contention.
It's not the point in contention. I'm telling you that is what the entire hearing allowed for. So the evidence that he is
but
describing
we're asking you
that
now.
he is using to argue his case is all based on inference, not fact.
Great.
Inference, not fact.
We're
So what they are
just-
inferring off of the facts.
So again, we're going to take this, and I'm just going to even grant it because it's irrelevant. I'm asking how you get to the inference.
Again, like he's granting it because he doesn't really know what to make as the argument here. And he's doing it to cast doubt in her argument. So he's like, I will grant it to you because I'm so nice. It's not because he's nice. It's because he has nothing else that he could possibly say in this instance whatsoever.
That even if you dispute that piece of evidence, that means Patsy. I'm looking for the logical chain for how you get to that inference.
What I am telling you is it's
I don't know. She's supplying a logical chain of how she gets there. I feel like, I don't know, man,
the exact same way that
But also, I wasn't hired by TPUSA to debate this topic. So
when you tweeted, I think that this evidence is overwhelming. When they say that looks like Tyler Robinson's car, he drives a similar car. Okay, they are inferring that that's Tyler
Can
Robinson.
you walk me through the inference so that I understand?
It's not a fact. It's not a fact. When you show a blurry image, which you kept citing that we have
I'm
images.
talking about your inference that the fingerprints, even if they're degraded, equals Patsy. How do you get that inference?
Look, he's backtracking. We're on kind of like a new point where we're talking about the case, but like now we're backtracking. We're kind of like, oh wait, well let's go back to this. Well, it's the jump around tactic. He doesn't want to be pinned down to a certain point because he has no point that he can pin himself down onto. That's the whole point of this situation.
I didn't say it equals Patsy. I think it is enough evidence that it should be explored, which is exactly what this preliminary was in the inverse.
That's not in dispute. What's in dispute is when you said, I'm using this as evidence that he could have been a Patsy. I'm asking, how do you get the inference to Patsy from that?
Because what I am saying is that it shows that somebody else had more DNA presence on that gun than Tyler Robinson did. So it is plausible, which is all they're doing. They're presenting plausibility based off of the facts. Okay, it is plausible that somebody just took his gun and put it there. That's it.
Is there equally
that's how it works.
And is there equally 100 other plausible explanations?
I think that
Yeah, like maybe he put it there. But like, what's the point that she's making, and it's really not a bad point, is we are all operating off of the information that are inside of like the courts and like whatever the police are saying. That's it. You're operating off it. I'm operating off of it. We all saw the clip online of it happening. We have no other connection. So she's saying, hey, based on all the information that's out here, this is what I'm going to present as what I think happened based on all this. Maybe she's right. Do I think she is? I don't know, but probably not, but she's rather convincing. But like Andrew's trying to like the problem is Andrew's arguing from a perspective where like, oh, he's right because she just has a crazy conspiracy theory. Maybe that's true, but we don't really know. That's why he's here to debate it, is it not?
That's the reason why most people are exploring when things don't make sense.
Got it.
So yes, at the beginning of that, this is how the court process works.
So
just so we're clear,
if there's 100 other
state's
plausible
evidence and they're
explanations
inferring.
in Candace, why is it that we should go with this idea that it was a patsy?
I'm not saying that we should go with the idea that it was a patsy. I am saying that there is.
I thought that was the whole defense. Your whole claim.
No,
today.
my whole claim was that there is more evidence that he has set up.
Well, this would be one part of a greater structure.
He is set up as a patsy.
How does that equal evidence of patsy?
I don't know how many times I can say this. Like I'm saying that I am using the exact same mechanism that you are accepting for some reason in the Utah courtroom.
Yeah.
Right. To say, I'm going to look at the evidence and I'm going to infer an alternative theory. So you just saw the states and you're accepting it. And they have not presented any concrete facts. You listed on your own Twitter that what you found to be convincing was something that looked like his car pulled into the driveway, a blurry image.
No, I didn't.
The standard white guy coming up the steps that could literally be anyone.
This never happened.
Whoa, racist!
Can we get a fact check on that? Can we pull up his tweet where he goes over
I didn't
the
say
four?
that's what convinced me.
When you actually didn't say
He said that's not true, and then she's like, pull it up, fact check it. Well, I didn't say that's what's convinced me. He's terrible. He's getting fucking dog walked, dude.
That's what convinced me, but you said this is the evidence that you found to be overwhelming, and you named, I believe, actually 5 things. I think you said it was his car. You said it was.
Well, there's multitudes of things that I find.
You just said you didn't say it,
evidence.
so we're gonna get a fact check on that. You did.
Go ahead.
You said the blurry images coming up the steps.
He's getting fucking decimated.
Literally, when Officer Bagley testified, they talk about when I'm talking about making inference. This is the most I thought was the most absurd testimony I've ever heard. And pardon me, it was actually David Hull. They asked him a question. How did you know the guy in the maroon shirt was the same as the guy that came up the stairs later that was wearing the American flag black shirt? And he said, they're wearing the same shoes.
Why is that absurd?
That's how you decided these two are the same people. Oh, wow.
Because they're probably New Balance. You know white people love New Balance. I love New Balance shoes. Just saying.
Oh, what a scientific. They're both wearing Converses. Okay. That's an absurd thing to say. That is
true. Maybe they were just working out at the gym using Converse. Those are good flat shoes for deadlifting.
Not evidence that these are the same people if we're both wearing Converses. That was what he said. That's what flew on the stand.
But I still don't understand how that would be absurd. If somebody,
it's an absurd thing.
For instance, if somebody were to change their clothes but keep the same shoes on, wouldn't you utilize the shoes to try to track that person? If
the
they were
idea that on a college campus, 2 people wearing this totally different outfits, but both wearing Converses can't happen is such an absurdity that I don't even need to argue that. I'm just going to let people deal. Why is it absurd? Just concede that.
She's got a good point, dude. What the fuck?
Obviously, it's absurd thing to say.
I'm not
I know
sure,
these are the same people because they're both wearing Converse.
This is what happens when you do a debate, dude.
Yeah, I'm not sure if in context that's what happened, but
It
even
is.
if it
You
is,
can get a fact check on
but
it.
even if it is,
Well, I'll grant you this one. He's pretty much granted every point that she's made just because he has no fucking argument against it.
Again,
And it was
if
Hull.
we're utilizing inferences, whenever we're dealing with logic and we're dealing with making a logical inference,
Logical. I'm being logical right now.
we're going to take the entire collaboration of evidence and then we're going to make inferences from that. You would do that with any type of logical proposition. Otherwise, you could never have a true or false claim.
You just told me I couldn't.
So
do
when
that.
that never happened. You're just making stuff up. So anyway, when we're talking about logical inferences, what I'm looking for is the logical inferences that you have that Tyler Robinson's a patsy based on a totality of evidence that you have.
We can keep going.
But that's an impossible thing for her to prove right now because they only talked about one aspect of the situation so far. So that's an unreasonable argument to make. She talked about one aspect of it. Cool. It's time to move on to the next one. Maybe we talked about 2. We talked about the residue on the gun, the DNA, the degraded DNA, the residue on the gun, the degraded DNA, and the shoes. And he's like, well, this one individual point doesn't matter. What about all the point? Well, that's what the whole debate is about. Basically what he's saying here, when she gives him an argument, he's like, okay, but what about the rest of the stuff? And it's like, well, we're talking about this right now. That's what it is. That's if you're sitting down to dinner and you got chicken, peas, mashed potatoes, and your kid's autistic, so they like to eat them one at a time, and they start eating the chicken. You know what I mean? And you're like, well, why haven't you eaten your mashed potatoes? It's like, well, I'm not there yet, bro. I haven't gotten to the fucking mashed potatoes yet, dude. Chill out. It's a sensory thing, and if the mashed potatoes are touching the peas, I can't eat them. Right? That's basically what's happening here.
Going through your other evidence, but we should find his tweet where he lists the reasons that he was convinced.
So let's start with the 30-06. I think that's fine.
30-06.
Do you remember how long ago that was?
What do you actually call a 30-06? Because I feel like he's saying it like that because he wants to sound cool. Because he used to be a sniper in the military.
The tweets of the 5. Did you delete it or no?
No,
Did you
I don't
delete
tweets.
Okay, cool. I just look for. He said
Unless I
it was his
misspell.
car. It was his. It was the car, and it was definitely the staircase photos, and it was when the trial was going on.
Okay, she has it. Perfect.
She has
If you got,
Andrew's not an OnlyFans model. Excuse me. Candace isn't an OnlyFans model, so Andrew can't fucking debate her. That's what it is.
Tyler has. If you want to pull it up so we can see it.
Somebody said, so give me the clear evidence right here. I want you to provide it right here. All I heard from the investigator was, we believe this to be Tyler Robinson. Is belief something you go as a fact? You wrote the car pulling in. That's a totally blurry image. Robinson getting out of it. You have no idea if that's Tyler Robinson. The fact that he is seen 4 other times on camera, the fact being just a standard white boy with brown hair was seen walking up staircase. The DNA on the roof, we should discuss that. And on the screwdriver that he left behind, it's overwhelming, man.
Yeah, but that's not an exhaustive list.
Just so we're clear, you did.
So, but her framing of him before was correct. And now she caught him on it. And he's like, well, that's not an exhaustive list. Notice how anything Candace says is not enough information for him, but like everything that he says is just like, oh, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's all, I guess it's also not enough. Like the standard for each one of them is insanely different based on who's talking. Like Andrew constantly wants you to concede when he does some or says some dumbass shit. You have to concede to him. And then he moves. No, actually. Well, no, actually. Okay, do over. This is what he's doing. Well, do over. Is a do over. Oh wait, no. I know you won that one. This is a do over. That's all he's doing. He's asking for do overs.
Did tweet it,
but it's not exhaustive.
Yeah, well, just 5 seconds ago, you should concede.
You said I only said this one thing and said that was overwhelming. Actually.
Oh my God! Shut up.
It is. You can even.
I don't think that's what she said.
Did I say that?
Can you fact check if that was said or not? I did not hear her say.
So the thing is funny here is like
I don't think she said that either.
Getting to any of these inferences. So
why
oh well, you know what's funny here? Can we move on? That's what he just said.
Are you pivoting? So but just say you were wrong. It's cool to just say I was wrong.
I'm not wrong. So back to the tweet aspect here. It was really funny. That's not an exhaustive list of why I find it.
I didn't say it was exhaustive. I just said you said it.
And on top of it, well, no, you didn't. You said that
I'm pretty sure that's what she said, dude. This is what the hell's going on here?
You said this one thing and then said based on that it's over. Well, I didn't. You didn't mention that I mentioned the screwdriver, DNA, all these other things. You never mentioned any of that. So no, you're actually incorrect there. But on top of that, moving over to the actual evidence itself.
Are you?
Yes, I'm okay. Anyway, back to the evidence
you're
itself.
Okay.
Yes,
actually, I'm glad you're asserting that you're okay. I wasn't worried about your health. I'm just saying that I just said you tweeted this. You said no, I didn't. We got a fact check, and now you're like just going to gaslight me and pretend that I said
no gaslighting.
It wasn't exhaustive.
Well, he was wrong. So yeah, there's a gaslight.
I never said that. I just said you did say this.
Zero gaslighting.
I didn't say you couldn't have said more, but I would like to address what you said in that tweet.
This is your time. If this is how you want to spend it interrogating my position, you can do it that way.
I'm just addressing what you asserted on your Twitter was like the hard evidence that convinced you was overwhelming. That's literally your debate claim.
That's not what you said.
Was it? What?
That's not actually, in fact, what happened in that exchange. I was here for it.
So what's your position here?
Yeah, so my position is that based on all of the evidence, which has been demonstrated, at least all the evidence to my knowledge, that I am actually not.
I've never seen somebody in a debate like use the terms like you're gaslighting me and be successful with it. Like, Candace Owens is actually a real, she's actually a real female queen here, guys. No jokes.
Seeing anything that's compelling as an alternative theory. I'm not seeing anything which is convincing me of something otherwise than what the state is presenting as evidence. That's my position. If that's what you're asking me.
So just going back to what you did actually tweet, is it fair for me to ask questions about that?
Is that the only tweet you're going to ask me about?
Well, we're addressing your claim that the evidence is overwhelming, and this is a tweet where you listed what you thought was overwhelming. I think that's fair,
but not
right? I feel like that's fair,
but not exhaustive. Just so you know,
and I never said it was exhaustive. Even though you said I did.
Sure, whatever you want.
But yeah, so going back to that, all of that, as you say to me, well, Candace, why are you addressing and making inferences off of the testimony?
No, I never asked you why. You're making inferences. I asked you how, with the inference you made, you got to the conclusion.
Okay, so I would like to know how you got to the conclusion, and I'm just going to throw it right back at you, because for some reason you permit yourself to do it, and that's what I'm demonstrating, is that you permit yourself to do it, and then you say, when I do it, it's a conspiracy, right?
No.
How are you able to infer?
Yes, that is exactly. And it's totally possible that he's just too dumb to understand our argument. I've already laid it out twice. They're both working off the same information. We all have the same information. They're both working off the same amount of information. Like, he's just accepting the information that comes from the state as a fact. It probably is, but it doesn't matter. And so she's like, okay. So now, turn it around. How do you get there?
Off of blurry staircase images that is Tyler Robinson.
Yeah, so in that particular case, what you do is you take that evidence, you combine it with other evidence.
That's what she's doing.
So it's not just that Tyler Robinson.
What other evidence
is seen in the
staircase? He's yapping. He's yapping. He knows he's weak.
Why are you calling him Tyler Robinson in the staircase? That's what I want to get to.
Yeah, because, we'll just use this. If you don't agree that that's Tyler Robinson, then you would just have to humor me. I think it is, so I'm using the name.
But why do you think it is?
Yeah, why do you think
you make everybody, you call them
literally what I'm trying to explain to you.
Okay.
What? Dude, what is he talking about?
So if you're asking for my inference why I think it's Tyler Robinson, is because Tyler Robinson said in his text messages, you'll be able to see me on security footage at the campus. Said it in his own messages. On top of that, Twigs, yes, you can pull them up if you want to fact check that. He did say.
I would. I'm sorry. I actually think I really did miss that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't remember him saying you're going to see me in.
I'm paraphrasing, but it was close to it.
Yeah, I think
he's paraphrasing. What did he actually say?
By the way, Twigs himself said that he had some maybe a tiny bit of doubt, but it sure looked like Tyler Robinson inside of this various surveillance footage that he saw.
So you're what? Okay.
So Lance, sorry.
Hang
Go
on,
ahead.
hang
You're
on. So there's multiple reasons why it is
Those are the two weakest reasons I've ever seen in my life.
that I believe that that's Tyler Robinson, not just because of blurry footage.
Did you have a dream? Just kidding.
No, it's because I combined multitudes of evidences.
Okay.
Multitudes. He just gave us two weak ass points. One of them he conceded that was like incredibly weak.
So let's address those multitude of evidences. The first one we're working on a fact check on because I do not ever remember him tweeting. That's me in the staircase. I mean, or
Well, he didn't tweet
texting.
it.
Texting that's me in the staircase. I think that
You see how fast he responded to that because he's like a rabid dog looking for fucking food. Like he doesn't know what else to say. He's like so desperate for a win.
I didn't say that. I said
She corrected herself immediately, and now he's like no, I see it, because he's trying to make it seem like he's right, but like she misspoke and immediately corrected it.
I literally didn't. What I said is that he texted over, "You'll be able to see me in footage at UVU," and I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said.
Yeah, could we get a fact check on that?
You
The
can find
second
it.
thing you said was Lance's testimony, and actually what Lance says is I'm not 100%.
I agree.
But in terms of what he wears, again, me pointing out the absurdity, he wears Converses, he wears sneakers. If his boyfriend is not 100%, I'd like to understand why Andrew Wilson is overwhelmed by it. That's what I'm trying to get to. And lastly, I would like to
Is
remind
it a trans person? Is that what they're saying? They're being transphobic, dude?
you that Lance's statement would not be permitted. This was a huge part of the preliminary hearing, that they were leading. All the questions that were asked of him were leading, so they would be struck down at the actual trial. And also, I would like to remind you that he got use immunity for that. Use immunity.
I understand.
Which means like
that happens, by the way, all the time in these cases.
And I'm wondering why it particularly happened for Lance and this testimony. And I would also like to point out that something that's remarkable about this, again, leaning to my perspective, that Lance has a lot more, which I have said many times, Lance has a lot more involvement than the feds are letting us know. I think more is going to come out
either.
because they interviewed him on September 11th. And then for whatever reason, just ahead of what was supposed to be slated as the preliminary hearing, which was initially supposed to be in May, they bring him back to do this interview, which
Who the fuck is Lance?
my opinion, should have never been allowed. And I actually agree with the defense that it's a violation of his constitutional rights not to allow them to have cross-examined him. But I understand Utah 1102, do what you do. It's all hearsay. But to allow it in that way for him to just be able to also have use immunity, knowing that he's not going to get in trouble. He could literally get up there and lie about anything and he's not going to get in trouble because the use immunity was given to him in April, I believe. April 28th is when they gave that testimony to the defense. I think they shot it in like April 20th of 2026. That is not compelling to me for somebody who has use immunity to give a testimony and to say, I'm not really sure, but definitely like he wears jeans and stuff.
That's not what he said.
Oh, Lance Twig is a trans partner? Okay. Got it.
He did actually. You can get a fact check on that.
Yeah, that's
Skyler,
not,
I think
he said
pulled
much
it up
more
if you
than
wanna,
that.
So a couple things we have. We have Rule 801, Tyler's messages, that says it's not hearsay. But first, go to what Candace is asking about. Skyler, I think you have it. You just text me if you want to pull it up. You said you have the text. If we can put that up on the screen. Thank you.
It was me. Look at the pictures from the surveillance footage. It was me. Okay. I literally said to you, it's not an oof. I said I didn't remember this, and I'm happy to have a fact check on that. Okay.
Let's see. It was me. Look at the pictures from the surveillance footage. It was me. I'm serious. Okay, got it. I guess. Hey, Andrew got that one.
That I didn't call for the fact check saying you're wrong. I literally said I don't remember that. From the
Well,
time
I'm just
messages.
saying to you, like,
Okay.
I'm trying to be
Well, it was in the Candace that he was wrong, but
Okay,
concise for you.
and then also bring the 801 that you just said. What was the other one?
Yep, the 801, Tyler messages
I feel like Andrew was sweating because he didn't actually know if it was true or not. He's just saying things.
saying it's not hearsay. If you have that as well. There you go.
Wait, what are we saying? It's not hearsay.
Statements
I thought
that
you
are
said
not
messages.
hearsay. A statement that meets the following conditions is not hearsay.
It was hearsay. They said it in the trial.
Hang on.
Okay.
Okay. Is consistent with the declarant's testimony and the declarant denies having made the statement or has forgotten, or is consistent with the declarant's testimony and is offered to rebut the express implied charge that the declarant recently fabricated or acted in recent improper influence or motive in testifying. So then wouldn't that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
So the issue with his
I just want to make sure.
yeah.
Would that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
So the opposing party, which down the line, like I said, they talked about this for about an hour and a half, and they discussed how if Lance was in court and he was giving his first party, giving his testimony as the opposing party, whatever, all of this would be fine. They had an issue with how the questions were being asked and that they were not allowed to cross-examine him.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why his video testimony would not be accepted in the main trial. And what I said to you is this entire preliminary hearing is under Utah's 1102. So they are allowed to just use hearsay. And
No,
so
you
the
didn't
judge,
say
when
that.
he
You said most of it was hearsay, actually.
Yeah,
The
it was.
overwhelming majority.
Well, I mean, and that's I'm leaning now into my opinion that some scientific aspects, which they kept asserting, like the federal rule 403 or 402, some of those parts were quite
Sounds like
scientific.
you're backtracking quite a bit.
No, I'm not backtracking at all. What do you feel like let me help you.
It does actually sound like she's backtracking, yeah.
Where do you feel like I'm backtracking? It literally was done under Utah's 1102.
Yeah, nobody disputed that.
Okay.
What the dispute was is whether or not most of it was overwhelmingly hearsay.
Yes,
is that the case?
it was. Yes,
Okay.
that's a fact. I'm not backtracking on
And
that
what
at
are
all.
the things
How many times did you, if you watch the video here, it's like they constantly, I'm 1102, 1102, 1102, 1102, 1102. And the reason for that is because it's allowed. I'm not saying it's illegal. It's allowed at this stage, but I'm just reminding you that when you're going to sit across from someone and your claim is going to be, where is your hard evidence? This is what I heard and I agree with what I'm watching. You are watching the state put on a hearsay preliminary hearing. And all of those things are not going to be allowed, right? Even when they got into witness statements and things of that nature. There's a reason why they swear you in and they say, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth. Did you, write this statement? So it's the overwhelming majority of what you saw was hearsay because other people were representing other people's statements. They were saying they had conversations. We don't know where it came from. All allowed at this stage. Okay. But it's hearsay. So
but even a lot of that stuff may not fall under hearsay under what we just read, right?
But the evidence that you're speaking about, like when you say that we're going off vibes, you don't know Tyler Robinson, okay? His boyfriend is not 100% it was him. So I'm going back to your points that you made that this was overwhelming evidence for you. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, overwhelming just means
you can't
convincing.
consider another option that there could have been.
Yeah, he defined overwhelming as he really thinks it's true. Like the first thing he did in this debate was decide that like the word overwhelming didn't mean what it actually meant. I'm defining overwhelming as meaning I think it's true. There's overwhelming evidence that Play-Doh tastes good. It's like, okay. Why? I think so. I think it tastes really good.
Another white guy wearing Converses on campus?
Yeah, do you agree with me that I said that what overwhelming means to me is that it's just very convincing to me?
Yeah, and
that's not what overwhelming means. He's just redefining the word because he's fucking dumb as shit.
I find it to be completely unconvincing.
And that's fair.
Because
I understand that
I looked at those blurry photos that they presented and said, you're
It's so funny that he had to redefine what overwhelming was just for this fucking conversation. This is actually so fucking funny.
Statement on right now is that he's wearing Converses and he also that's just crazy.
But these aren't the evidences that I find the most convincing.
Well, you said that in your Twitter.
That's not the only thing I've ever said on my Twitter about this case.
Right, but the question that was asked of you was pretty direct.
Yeah.
Right? What did you find
this is not an exhaustive list of all the things that I find
that's not what you said
convincing.
in the tweet. You can tweet longer too. It's not like we're limited now to 240 characters anymore.
So anything that I tweet and all other tweets that I've ever made are now excluded because I used the word overwhelming in this one.
Well,
even though all of this information I've said so publicly over and over and over again is what informs my position for why I'm convinced on the case. That's bizarre to me.
I feel like this is Andrew versus Andrew. Somebody asked you a question. What are the points that you find to be the most overwhelming? And you answered.
You mean from that day, from that particular day of the hearing that I was responding to?
I don't understand what we're getting locked down on here. He said there was overwhelming evidence. She's discounting some of the things that he said. And now he's like, instead of just continuously explaining himself, we're just on to like he's just crying. Like that's like literally what's going on right now. He's just like fucking crying about it. I don't really understand like the crybaby bullshit here.
Okay, this is something you find to be more overwhelming?
Yes,
that question?
yes,
okay,
that's what I was saying.
Okay, go on. What do you find to be more overwhelming?
Can we do this? Do we want to get into it, or do we want to do a quick ad break? Are you guys good to?
Oh shit, the ad breaks. Oh fuck.
Keep going, or
I'm fine to keep going, but we can also.
Would you like to take a quick break?
Doesn't matter to me either
if
way.
we're going into.
Damn, they're going to do an advertisement break for Candace Owens to make more money. Oh, wow, you did a good job on this one, Andrew.
A different topic that may be another 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't want to stop you guys in the middle of it.
Let's
So
end on what you
to
find
do?
to be more overwhelming.
Yeah. So
at least Patrick's there to make sure that they are productively do the ad breaks, that's actually is important.
So if for me, it's the confessions, the text messages, all of that is what I consider to be, from my opinion, that's the most convincing for me.
Okay, we should discuss the text message confessions when we get back, if you'd like to.
Okay,
I think that's a good idea, folks. We're going to take a quick ad break. We will be back in 3.5 minutes. Thank you.
All right, you guys, for nearly 2.
You guys know the deal. We watch the ads, or to react. I watch the ads. I don't condone them, but I don't. Well, maybe I condone them, but you watch the ads. Okay, guess what? I'm gonna pee while you watch the ads.
1,000 years, Christians have lived continuously in a small village just outside of Jerusalem called Tibet. It remained through the Roman Empire, the Crusades, the Ottoman Empire, and countless changes of power. Today, that Christian presence is in serious danger. One father in the West Bank put it simply. He said, quote, "I don't want to leave. My family is buried here. My church is here." In Tibet, the church is more than a place of worship. It's a school, a medical clinic, a food distribution center, and a safe gathering place for families. When the church can no longer serve the community, families begin to leave, and a living Christian presence in the Holy Land begins to disappear. But you can help. Just $35 provides a full day of protection and support for vulnerable Christian families, and $83 a month can help sustain that protection throughout the month. I support the Vulnerable People Project because 93% of every donated dollar goes directly toward protecting vulnerable families and communities on the ground. If preserving a living Christian presence in the Holy Land matters to you, visit vulnerablepeopleproject.com. Again, that's vulnerablepeopleproject.com. All right, you guys, do you feel like you're working harder than ever but still falling behind every month? Between grocery prices, bills, and credit card debt growing, it can feel impossible to get ahead. Minimum payments aren't designed to get you out of debt. They're designed to actually keep you stuck. But PDS Debt can help. They can reduce up to half of what you owe on credit cards, personal loans, and medical bills, and it starts with a free 30-second assessment at pdsdebt.com/Candace. Stop juggling multiple payments and get one lower monthly payment. The savings begin the day that you complete the quick assessment. If you're carrying any balance on your credit cards, it's costing you money every single day. There's no minimum credit score that's required. PDS Debt is the top-rated company in the industry with thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating on the BBB. So get your free 30-second personalized assessment today at pdsdebt.com/Candace. Again, that's pdsdebt.com/Candace. I also want to tell you guys about the Wellness Company because by now you've probably heard that there is an explosive outbreak in the U.S. this summer. More than 18,000 confirmed and suspected cases of cyclosporiasis have now been nationwide, and Michigan health officials have confirmed the first 2 United States deaths associated with that outbreak. The CDC says the illness is caused by cyclospora, a microscopic parasite commonly spread through contaminated fresh produce. It can cause severe stomach cramps, nausea, fatigue, and other debilitating symptoms. If you get sick, the CDC recommends Bactrim. That's why the Wellness Company created the medical emergency kit with generic Bactrim plus 7 additional prescription medications to help treat more than 25 common illnesses and medical emergencies, all prescribed before you need them. Getting your kit is simple. You complete a secure online medical questionnaire. If it's approved by a licensed physician, your kit ships directly to your door. So don't wait until you're sick to wish that you were prepared. Visit twc.health/Candace and use code Candace at checkout to save up to $45 off plus free shipping. That's twc.health/Candace. Kits are available for United States residents only.
Okay, we're back. Fantastic.
Hey, that was a good piss. How good was I, guys? That was a perfect pee time.
I think we're back. By the way, just an FYI for those of you that are watching.
What is NFY? For your information? NFI, okay.
The Crucible, there's 30,000 concurrent there watching. Support Andrew Wilson. That's your fans of his. Click that subscribe button and helps him grow his business.
Oh, okay. So he got to stream that as well. Okay, good for him. At least he's making back some of that money he got that he gave her to get dog walked.
If you're watching Candace, I think there's 225 to 250,000 concurrent right now. You
got to make sure you flex those numbers.
Like to see that 300, 400,000 number on there. Click that button as well to subscribe and share it with your friends and family.
Share it.
And if you're watching it on PBD Podcast,
share it with your friends and family.
Yes, do the same there as well. This allows us to have more conversations like this. The mainstream media hates the fact that we're having these conversations right now. Just so you know, they want to control it. This is free flow. This is what's best for the audience.
I don't think they give a shit. I don't think the mainstream media gives a fuck. I don't. I mean, I know he has to push like the weird little conspiracy theory. I'm assuming Andrew's smoking 45 cigarettes right now. He's got to catch up for the cigarettes that he missed in the first hour. He's got to smoke a cigarette a minute. So
that's why we like freedom of speech. Having said that, let's go back into the text conversation you were having, right? Okay. Let's state, and then we'll go into the cross-examination stuff in about 30 minutes.
Do you think he just ate the cigarettes because he had no time to like actually smoke them? Like, what do you think happened there?
Okay, that sounds fair. Okay, so yeah, I used basically 3 pillars for the totality of the evidence.
Whoa.
Okay, so if you want to know exactly what those 3 pillars are, this is going to be the testimony with the text messages and the confessions. This is going to be the physical evidence, and this is going to be the totality of the summary of the case. Okay, so right now we're focusing on one of these pillars in my defense, which is fine. I understand that I have to defend my claims as well. So when we're talking about the messages themselves, they seem totally valid. I have no idea why they wouldn't be valid. And I have not heard any good explanation for why it is that these messages should even be questioned. The defense hasn't questioned them as far as I'm aware. Nobody has actually questioned that these messages came from Robinson to date, except.
But isn't he just like, he's just like appealing to the public narrative again? That's what she's saying, is that like they're all looking at that information to make a stronger conclusion. So
perhaps you and
his argument just seems to be they said so.
And other people who are kind of in that camp. But why should I question these exactly? I'm not sure.
Okay, so first let's just go over legally what the point is of a probative hearing. The defense is not putting on, they're not there to say or to argue or to defend themselves at all. They have to address what is being presented by the state, okay? So they're not here to then say, let me give you an explanation for these text messages.
Agreed.
The relevant portion of what the defense did do was actually before we got to the preliminary hearing. I had mentioned that it was initially supposed to be scheduled for some time in May. They asked for an extension. That reading through those filings of why they were requesting an extension and why I actually believe their extension should have been granted, because they did not receive discovery on their text messages. That was one of the reasons. There were many reasons why they wanted to have an extension, but this was crucial, right? So forget just the general sense that these messages feel off. And yes, you are allowed to have an intuition. You are allowed to have a sense and just go, this is very weird. We're being told this kid had like above a 4.0, Tyler Robinson. He wanted to get away. I mean, the text messages almost run head to head with themselves. Like he wanted to get away with it. So he thought the best thing to do would be to text a full confession of what he did, down to what I didn't even remember, saying, yeah, and that's also me in the surveillance footage. it felt a little too on the nose. People have common sense. You just don't text message. But then we're also supposed to believe that he put a note
leaning on that common sense
under and burn this and get rid of the evidence. But don't worry about that because I'm about to text you a full confession. That it felt off. It felt weird off the bat. The manner in which they were texting, we're told he's like a gamer who's using a Dremel to carve expressions, catch fascist. But then suddenly he's writing like a 17.
Oh, like you're gay on the bullets? That makes perfect sense that he would do that. What are you talking about?
As a Helldivers player, he did actually get the 500K code correct.
Yeah, I'm not a gamer, so we'll say that if we start debating that, you'll be way over my head.
But yes,
but my point being is just that, first, it's a general sense of why people had a reaction to these messages that seemed like they were written by Jane Austen rather than like a kid who games and writes catch.
Yeah, but do you see how that's intuition?
That is, I am. I just said that. I said just parking aside the intuition of just something feels wrong here, which you should follow your intuition. You should actually do that. If you say,
I think
maybe sometimes you shouldn't. You know?
COVID vaccine is running out.
I mean, Andrew Wilson's intuition says that you should say that women should be thankful that they don't get raped by men. They should thank those men for it. So not sure we should be advocating for dealing with their intuition, but hey, what do I know?
It feels like it's coming out too fast and there's too many celebrities telling me
I'm just not a guy who thinks that rape is okay.
Do it. I'd like to take a pause. That's good. That is, you are allowed to do that. I believe in intuition.
Sorry, guys.
But hang on. Let me respond a little bit here because you've been going for a minute. Let me at least respond to a little bit of this.
When you count the time, waiting to speak.
So the first thing is like when people bring up the COVID vaccine, not trusting the COVID vaccine en masse was the science. That wasn't just intuition. That was the science. There was tons of competing science. Now they tried to suppress it. That's true. But
there wasn't really that much competing science. Like the information wasn't perfect, but it wasn't. Okay, I got it.
There was tons of.
I was skeptical as well. We ended up getting it. All the science points to it was the right decision to make overall. But okay.
Competing science for why you shouldn't take a risky mRNA vaccine and masks and things like this.
Kept telling us was
now, when you're talking about intuition, though, when you say trust your intuition, I'm actually giving a different message. You actually should be very wary about trusting.
Although I will say again, like this is the problem. Remember I was speaking before about the conspiracies and how like Andrew's audience and her audience are primed to believe in conspiracy theories. Like that's the thing. Like it was a conspiracy to be completely against the COVID vaccine. It wasn't a conspiracy to be healthily skeptical, and overall everything worked out. Right, like the vaccine came out. It was safer than not getting it. That's just the fact. But like he wants to say the science agreed with him because he's trying to pretend he's not a conspiracy theorist. He is. He also advocates and engages with conspiracies. He just tries to pretend that they were actually not conspiracies afterwards because he tries to pretend that he's like not somebody who harps on conspiracies. So
just your intuition. It is true that intuition can be useful, but it has to be tempered with logic, reason, explanatory power, and evidence, not just intuition.
That's why we're parking it aside. Intuition is the first step. Something feels off, right?
Okay.
That was my first step with COVID. I don't like the way it's being pushed. It shouldn't require a celebrity campaign, by the way. Another element of that is why people don't feel good about the Charlie thing. Why do we have so many influencers saying things? It's over. Why are you guys all using the same adjective? Can you switch it up? I'm overwhelmed.
What does that mean?
Like chill. Like you could say, I found some parts compelling. I think they should go.
Like
I found some parts compelling. Maybe we should, see at the trial. That would be
Don't you think Fed slop's a buzzword for the counter industry?
But everyone on the same day of watching this trial, which was, I would say, not overwhelming at all. Nobody came in medium, right? No one came in like there were some interesting aspects. This was a little suspect. But I do think it's enough to go to trial. They all came in like they were passing away and we're going to die from being overwhelmed.
Well, they're trusting their intuition.
Okay. Well, actually, in that scenario, they're looking at the preliminary hearing and have a reaction to it. It wasn't their intuition. But like I said, parking aside, just getting to the substance, parking that aside, aside just a general intuition, sometimes there might be second messages. Then we look at the filings, which came from the defense, and they were requesting an extension saying, we have gone to the prosecution and we have requested all of this stuff in discovery. Yes, you are saying that you took Lance's phone, okay, and that you collected his phone on September 11th and that you sent it off or whatever. You took a picture of the text messages and we are being given these text messages to review. Crucially, Kathy Nestor said, I have not even been given access to my client's phone during this hearing. She said, I haven't even given access to my client's phone. She can't tell you, as a part of the discovery request, it's not enough to say to me, Candace, I just got a text message from Candace. And I say, I didn't send that text message. Maybe that's what our client's saying. We don't know because we're not at the trial, right? Maybe he didn't send those messages. Could there be someone who logged into his Discord? Could there be someone who logged in to his Apple? George could be
maybe
sending text messages right now. We are married. He has every login that I have. And remember, he's up for a death sentence. So if I'm able to sow reasonable doubt with common sense, he may come during the trial and when they actually have to address these points, say, I did not write those messages. I was here. Lance, my boyfriend, was.
Do you guys think that? Do you think that his lawyer is watching Candace Owens and being like, "Oh, these are good points. Let me use them."
Logged into my phone, logged into my Apple ID and my iCloud, sending messages. I know that we have the capability because my husband does it. He has the capability to send messages from my phone. It is not convincing to the public when, for whatever reason, the FBI.
You never know.
would not, FBI combined with the SBI, it was not the prosecution's fault. They made that clear during that hearing, would not allow them that discovery request to be able to see where did that message come from? Because you're saying my client was here, right? I want to know if that message actually was generated from his iPhone when he was waiting to retrieve his, rifle, hoping that the pooch doesn't have a bad sniffer. Like, it's just
what
weird messages. I want to make sure that yes, it was actually him. He was
sounds like a memer
holding his phone, and his boyfriend didn't just log in to his computer when he was home. Lance was his boyfriend. That is a crucial fact here. That discovery was not met by the time I got to preliminary hearing. So I remain unconvinced by these text messages. Just as you feel convinced by them, I feel unconvinced by them.
Okay. So then the idea here is the reason that you don't think that these are valid text messages, and you don't, right?
It has not been proven that these messages are valid, and they don't sound valid to me. I don't think anyone, even if someone was selling like a, I don't know, pot on the corner, would be smarter than to write a full-fledged confession. He even writes, I thought I would get away with it, and I was hoping never to tell you until old age, and then we're being told that he wanted to commit suicide. And okay,
whoa, censor that word.
But he just said he wanted to get away with it, but he's not smart enough to, I don't know, maybe not text
yeah.
It's such a confession like we've never seen. I think this would be like the first time ever somebody has start to finish written an entire here.
Maybe he started feeling guilty. He was in shock, panic.
I'm in the surveillance footage and I'm here and I'm wearing my Converse. I'm being a little facetious here, but it was a little ridiculous. It didn't pass a sniff test for me.
You have kids. And you love them more than anything.
I do.
If it was the case that you thought that your kid was innocent, wouldn't you be out telling everybody and their brother that you thought that they were innocent? And also, wouldn't you say,
what is this argument? Is he, what?
Wouldn't you maybe recant and say, hey, he didn't actually confess to me. He didn't actually, none of this happened the way that the state is presenting it. What would
Are they allowed to do that?
Prevented the parents from testifying?
Well, two things I can answer that. And if you watch my show, I keep telling you it's not vibes. So right after the shooting happened, Lance Twiggs, the FBI put him into a safe house they paid for. They went to the parents as well, to Matt Robinson and Amber, basically said, your life's at risk. There could be somebody who jumps up and wants to avenge Charlie Kirk.
Would they be allowed to do that, or would they be on like some kind of like close watch where they can't say things like that?
And, we're going to watch you. And they went into a federal safe house. What happened next is that they started thinking that the feds were maybe going to,
especially since like Trump would be very aggressive at wanting this trial to look as bad as possible for the left. Like, why would they want to give Tyler any credibility or charity? Wouldn't they like cut their ability to communicate off?
Like maybe not as honest as they thought. And
how do you know any of that?
So you got to watch the show, right?
Yeah, no. How do you know that?
I had a source within the Robinson family.
You have a source, an anonymous source, of course. So there's no way for us to verify that what you're saying right now is
I find this to be interesting. Somebody's in the chat right now. This is an Andrew Wilson. I think it might be Andrew Wilson, but Andrew has destroyed her. He's getting dog walked, but that's okay. Now watch the Candace cope train come a running. Isn't that what he labeled it before? Most who ride, though, that loser locomotive are one of three things. One, a covert feminist. Well, that's Andrew Wilson. He's dating a woman who's got run through by 3 guys and has 5 kids. 2, a soy boy simp. Well, Andrew Wilson simping for a woman that got run through with 3 different baby daddies with 5 kids. 3, a member of the fatigue demographic. All this guy does is talk about how he thinks rape is okay. He thinks that women should be thankful that they're not getting raped. Who's the fucking soy boy simp, like a feminist over here? Andrew Wilson is the soy boy feminist. What are you talking about? He's a soy boy cuck feminist. What are you saying right now? What? I don't understand what you're talking about, bro. What the fuck? What are you talking about?
It's actually even true.
I can't believe you guys are okay with people doing stolen valor. That's what I can't believe. I respect our soldiers and our snipers especially.
Be reliable hearsay?
No, I don't find it to be reliable at all. It's just a source.
I'm just doing what the
prosecution
prosecution
did. What you're doing is a cool story.
It's not cool. Well, you must have hated watching
you're
preliminary hearing.
You're giving us a cool story. You're saying that according to your sources, that the reason that the parents haven't recanted any of this.
Recanted what? They have no statement from the parents.
Wait, I just want to make sure that if it was the case, it was being reported in mainstream media that your father came to you and said, hey, is this you? What's going on here? And then he and one of his buddies took you in where you turned yourself in. You wouldn't go out and be like, no, that's not what happened.
That isn't what happened, though. You're just wrong on this.
Okay, maybe I'm paraphrasing. What am I wrong on?
What is your, sorry, just so I'm clear.
Well, it sounds like they don't have a statement out there at all.
Where is your evidence that the parents turned him in?
Well, no, I didn't say that.
You said there's the mainstream media?
I said with a sheriff friend.
Yes.
But the father did confront him.
The father confronted what?
Tyler Robinson.
And where did you learn this? That the Tyler confronted
that's part of the official documents. Our fact checkers can pull that up. But yes.
But I'm saying, but when you say
pull it up,
official documents, do you mean you saw this on CNN or you saw this play out in the hearing?
No, this was one of the things that I went through in fact check pre-debate.
Are you talking about like the charging documents?
I think it was it could have been in the charging documents, but we can pull them up.
No.
And yes, are you disputing this?
Do we have that in the back to pull it up?
I can already tell you what you're talking about, the charging documents, because this is
ahead.
where we had to figure out where this story came from, because everyone was operating on the assumption that Matt Robinson turned him in. Until we got to the preliminary hearing and we understood, like I said, even for that, when you are charging someone, you can use hearsay. It's all probative, right?
Sure.
Nothing. So they didn't have statements. It's not like Matt Robinson, even though he was interviewed that night. Amber Robinson was interviewed that night by a Fed, separate rooms. Tyler Robinson was interviewed by a Fed. They did not produce statements saying
I am a Navy vet. Other than his wife, show proof or your claim he did stolen valor. I'm not a fan of him or you. Well, I think that I don't know. I appreciate your service, and I'm so sorry that you got a TBI, man. If my wife made an outrageous claim that I was a sniper, where do you think that she would get it from? I don't know. Probably me, right?
my son did this. I believe my son did this. But what happened was they did interviews, but also the crucial person here who you just brought up is Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell is the biggest unknown in this entire case. Everyone keeps saying they heard from Mike Mitchell this, they heard from Mike Mitchell that. So when the person wrote up the report that night, and it was Brian Davis who wrote up what became the charging document, he after they transported Tyler Robinson from the Washington Sheriff's County office up to, I think it's Salt Lake City. I think it was 4 a.m. in the morning. I got up there. He then writes
4 a.m. in the morning. Come on, redundant.
The what becomes a charging document. So he's basically saying we all spoke to a bunch of people, and here's the information that we got. Right? We've not seen that. So it could have come from Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell could be saying,
I don't know how this negates the point, though.
Why
wouldn't
truly
the
negates
parents?
The point, because you don't have a statement from the parents.
Yeah,
you are going.
Why wouldn't they just correct the
it's not correcting.
misinformation?
That doesn't negate the point. The point is that we now got the preliminary hearing. If the parents were the ones who said, "I'm turning my son in because he's guilty,"
I didn't say they turned him in.
I think you're talking about the over. You said it's been the narrative. Everybody's known this. The narrative initially, which I think you agree with, was that Matt Robinson knew his kid was guilty and turned him into the police station. What actually happened in terms of Sheriff Brooksby, who was present there and gave a press conference, what happened was this Mike Mitchell character essentially peer pressured him, and we can get a fact check on this. We can find Sheriff Brooksby's press conference, and he said, they know it's you, and you're going to come in peaceably, or people are going to be banging down your door. He was a undercover cop, which I don't like that. I don't know what he did undercover. It's very hard to find anything about Mike Mitchell, but he worked with them for 20 plus years, the police officers. The reason why Tyler Robinson knew him was because he lives nearby, and he
Oh, for what I'm reading, it sounds like the dad recognized him from an FBI release of photos. So that doesn't mean that like Tyler Robinson's dad thinks he did it based on any information other than he was in like an FBI, like the FBI was looking for him, right? Am I crazy?
He was also his Boy Scout
How
leader.
does this negate that the parents could write this second? And by the way, if you had the evidence,
address that point. I'm just saying that your first point, which is that the parents did this.
The parents, with help from a family friend described in reports as retired deputy youth pastor or minister, persuaded him to surrender peacefully. Yeah, they just persuade him to surrender peacefully. Not that they actually think he did it. They would think he did it based on the fact that he was they wanted to arrest him. What?
Yeah,
we don't know that the parents.
I didn't say that they did ever.
Well, you're quoting the parents as having said. You said that Matt Robinson said that his kid was. Did you say involved? I don't want to misquote you.
Confronted him about.
Confronted him.
Yes.
And I'm telling you that we have.
Well, that's not what he originally said. I don't think. He's just backtracking.
Not seen any evidence that is true.
We can fact check that.
Okay.
Because we do have evidence.
And I'm saying it's the charging doc, which could have been derived from a statement Mike Mitchell said.
Two things I have ready in the back. One is the charging doc, and the other one is a video of Kathy Nestor saying she hasn't seen Tyler's phone.
Okay, we can run Kathy to go back, and then just to go backwards to Kathy first in court saying she didn't get her client's phone. Yeah, and then I think we'll go to the. If you're okay with that,
thing not in dispute. These are all things that are not even disputed.
Okay, so we don't have to show it.
We never get to the thing that I am disputing.
Well, I was just providing an answer. We were coming back in from a break because you were talking about the text messages, something that you felt was concrete. So it was just my rebuttal to you that it's not concrete because they haven't had a chance to actually answer that, and she didn't even get to see your client's phone. So that's effectively, again, the state saying these messages are real. You don't get the discovery on these messages just yet. She will during trial. They will actually get
Don't you think
messages.
that would make their case fall apart if it was the case that they weren't able to actually pull the data off the text messages? Do you think the prosecution would go to court with fabricated text messages?
It's called winners and losers. They may not be fabricated, but by the way, as what they are saying, like I said, if there was somebody logged into his phone, they may not be fabricated. That's the point.
So let's get to
the
parents fact check.
So I was saying, right? I believe what you're talking about was derived from the charging doc, which was signed off by Brian Davis. Let's see if that's correct. What are we looking at?
Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, I'm sorry.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Is this the charging doc?
I can't see it. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched the rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle, which makes sense with the text messages. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home.
Yes. So this is proving my point. This is from the charging document, correct? Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is that 3 people got interviewed on that night. Mike Mitchell got interviewed, Amber Robinson got interviewed, and Matt Robinson got interviewed. Of the 3 of them, only one of them actually wrote a statement, which was referred to in this preliminary trial. He came in, I believe, in March, Mike Mitchell, and he wrote a statement, which I find to be very shady that they decided to bring.
But why aren't the parents disputing that?
No. Well, first off,
that's the question.
First off, the parents are not going to ever play in court, play to the cameras in court when they have a legal team that is going to be advising them not to speak to the court because your son could go to prison
but
forever.
They're playing to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Who's your source?
I'm not going to address that.
They're playing to someone else who's your source, but won't go publicly tell the media this is not true?
Well, what I did not say to you that I just said I have a source, so I want to be very.
That would make more sense actually to go through Candace Owens and say it themselves because they can like feed her information for her to leak out without like them having to assign their name to it to make it seem like they're trying to disrupt the case.
Clear and take it from somebody who is involved and permanently sued. When I have to take my lawyer's advice, I mean, there's so many things I want to respond to when people are speaking about.
Yeah, but it's bizarre that they would utilize a source which would get the information to you, but wouldn't just go to the media and be like, actually, that's all wrong.
That's not bizarre at all. He's a fucking moron for saying this. It makes perfect sense. Their kid is on trial. They wouldn't say anything publicly. They don't want to potentially have like a problem with the case, and they want to be able to like have plausible deniability that the information is from them. Why would they come forward and say something and make it seem like they were just trying to change the information on the case or the public narrative? Doesn't make any sense. What?
I am telling you that if you would nary find a lawyer who would advise you to go to the media.
This mother,
especially when your son
was
up for death.
It's a legal strategy. He's dumb as shit.
If I thought that my kid was in any way, shape, or form going to be up, you couldn't shut me up. Or my wife, she would be like, "That's not true. That's ridiculous."
Because you're stupid. You're a dumb idiot. Fuck. Like you don't understand legal strategy. You're a moron. You spent $300,000 to sit in a cuck chair and get fucking decimated by Candace Owens. Of course you'd say that. You're stupid. The argument makes sense. Why would they? They're not going to risk their legal strategy. Makes no sense, especially since they can potentially leak information to her with plausible deniability. He's dumb as fuck for this.
No possible. That never happened. These people are lying through their teeth. They'd be public whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's for you and your wife. But when a judge issues a gag order in a case and your son is up for death and your lawyers could be advising you that if you say anything, you could blow the case, you would have a more responsible consideration.
I see.
And we're
Oh yeah, you see? Wow, instant backtrack on that one.
We're speaking opinion here. You're like, well, I wouldn't care. I'd violate it, and I'd violate the judge's orders and see what would happen.
If you have a source, it seems like they're violating it with them.
I'm not speaking to a source, but what I am saying to you is speaking just relevant to what this is. We have not seen any proof that statement that is included in this charging document. I think it is highly likely on the basis of the preliminary hearing that all came from Mike Mitchell, and Mike Mitchell would be a part. He's
based
saying,
on the statements of.
Well, it's him saying the parents told me this. The parents could dispute that. That's going to come down the line.
Yeah, they also have a pretrial gag order. He's so dumb. Like what? He's a fucking idiot.
Right? They're going to be able to seat the parents. I will say this, putting together context clues. If the state had it on 100% certainty that Matt Robinson and Amber Robinson said it, a 5-day preliminary hearing would be a good time to say we have enough evidence, and I can tell you why Matt Robinson made this statement, and here is his statement that he signed. That would have been a good time to present that evidence.
That would also be a good time for the defense to say that's just totally fabricated.
No, it's not. It's the wrong time.
Why couldn't they?
That is completely the wrong time.
Why couldn't they?
Because what they're doing is they already said they didn't receive discovery. They literally can't. They literally can't because they can't. They did not receive discovery.
You're saying that they didn't receive that information?
No, they just received the text messages. But in order to...
That's not the text messages.
The probative information.
Yeah, we're talking about the information that we just reviewed. That's not the text messages.
They never presented it. The state never put it on.
Yeah, they didn't. The defense could easily still have presented this. Yeah,
no,
they could have said they're they're not allowed to. Are you sure?
In a preliminary hearing, the defense is engaging with whatever evidence the state decides to put on. They did not put this on as evidence. Brian Davis was up there,
so they're not allowed to present anything.
They're responding to the state's evidence.
I'm asking, are they allowed to present anything?
They are allowed to say...
Like if there was a conspiracy that they could prove, right?
I like how he asked a question and like she's trying to answer it and he won't let her answer it.
Right then and there. Would they present that in one of these hearings?
No, it wouldn't be the right time for that.
I disagree. I think that they not only could do it, but they would.
Well, is this something you can even disagree on or is this just a fact?
Do it. In fact, when I talked in depth with my attorney, they said that's exactly, if you had actual evidence that there was fabrications.
He's lying, by the way. He's just making this up. There's absolutely no way he talked to an attorney. This is a guy who lied about being a sniper in the military. Let's just be fucking real.
By the feds. That's exactly when he would introduce that.
So when in the document that they filed yesterday or a couple of days ago, the appropriate, like what you're doing at this stage of the hearing is the state is saying we have enough evidence that we think this needs to go forth to the trial. Hence the reason that there's this extraordinary, we allow hearsay because it doesn't really need to be perfect. It can be enough that we feel like we can move forward, right? And okay, I disagree with that in general when somebody's rotting in prison, but whatever. The next phase is for them to meet in court and for the defense to essentially present an argument to the state that says, we find this filing to be defective in and of itself. We don't even have to defend ourselves because you, the state, have enough, you know what the laws are on the books, and this filing is defective and you should get rid of these charges because they don't make sense based on what you can decide based on a law on the books. So then that's why they then file the dismissal, right? So in the dismissal, what they're doing is they are engaging, and this is what was widely misinterpreted.
Well, yeah, they're engaging as though, as it's a hypothetical. If this is hypothetically true, then
so they're saying all of these charges.
I'm not disputing any of that.
So that's what you're asking why you're saying, could they just
what I'm asking specifically is like, who could shut parents up who are like, no,
a gag order, the law. He's being dumb as shit here. Like he's living and dying on the stupidest fucking point. Who's gonna listen to a gag order in the most like publicized fucking situation in like a long time in America? Who would listen to this gag order? Like you're dumb. Well, you would. Obviously, because it could also threaten your kid's life if you don't listen to the fucking gag order. Like he's just so dumb. This is like a total. This one is like this is his worst argument.
Way there's no possible. This never happened. This is ridiculous. They would be shouting it on CNN. They would be shouting it from the rooftops. They would be
why? He's like this is like the biggest conspiracy of this entire situation. Ironically,
losing their minds, and you're like, nope, the gag order would be enough to keep them quiet.
Yeah, yes, the legal gag order would be enough to keep them quiet. Yes, and their lawyer saying that it makes more sense optically to just file the gag order. What is he talking about?
Not enough for them to talk to your source, but enough to keep them quiet. I think that's quite ridiculous. But I'll even concede this whole point to you. Let's just
because look at that again. He's so dumb and so wrong, but he's going to concede this point to her, even though he's sweating right now because he hasn't had a cigarette. Look, he looks like really beat up. Do you see this? Look at this. This is Andrew Wilson at the beginning. This is him now. He's fucking sweating, dude. He's sweating because he can't smoke cigarettes. He's like his eyes look just like fucking fundamentally different. Holy shit.
Say, maybe this was misconstrued, right? If there's a little bit of reason to doubt it because we're still waiting for the evidence for trial. If that's the case, then why not take the same standard for the evidence that you present? You're just waiting for trial.
Well, you didn't do that.
Wait a second.
We're here.
Wait a second. I just want to make sure that I got this right. That's your argument to me, right?
My argument to you is what?
Your argument to me is that, hey, wait a second, Andrew. There's not enough here that convinces me, right?
Well, that's actually my rebuttal to you, is that you are saying, why are people engaging in what you term to be conspiracy theories?
No.
I term it to be
Erica Kirk paid him for it.
Thinking. They're just thinking because they're recognizing there are a lot of holes in these stories and that this is not strong evidence, right? This is the reason they're doing it. I'm explaining to you, this is the reason that they're doing it. I'm addressing what you view to be overwhelming evidence. And by the way, I want to be clear.
That which convinces me.
But thus far, every point that you've brought up, every point that you've brought up, did you feel like this is beyond a reasonable doubt? I mean, you realize
remember what I said in my opening.
Going to be
it's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's just what I find convincing.
No, it was what he finds like it wasn't like overwhelmingly convincing. Sorry, what are we talking about here?
What I find overwhelming.
So why are you so upset?
What he finds overwhelming just means he really believes it a lot, which is not what the word overwhelming means.
That when people say they don't find it
if
convincing.
That was the limitation of the claims that you made, if it was just, wait a second, there's a little bit of problems. There's some problems in this case that I have questions for that I want answers to. Nobody have a problem, actually. Least of all me. I would be the least likely person to have an issue with you, any of your fans, anybody saying. In fact, I've had tons of Discord calls about this.
Wow. Oh, Discord. Nice.
My position's always been clear. Of course, conspiracies exist. Some of them have way better evidence than others. But I've seen them myself. I know conspiracy. In fact, the federal government has...
he used to actually be a sniper for the conspiracy theorists. I don't know if you guys know that.
Hundreds of thousands of laws about conspiracies. They see them everywhere. We both know this, right? That's never what the problem is. The problem is when you make claims outside of, well, wait a second. I'm just questioning evidence here. I'm just questioning what the state's case is here. I'm just asking questions. It's when you make claims outside of that, where you claim that there's good evidence or good standards you should believe because, and then it turns out that it's all nonsense or it's wackadoo stuff or it makes no sense. And when we have a chance to cross-examine your evidence that you've presented, I'm going to show a lot of that. A lot of this conjecture that's based on literally nothing that leads from no inferences whatsoever. Like you couldn't even infer it logically. That's the problem. The problem has never been whether or not you just said, there's not enough in this case so far until we get to the trial. I remain unconvinced. I'm sure there's tons of people who remain unconvinced yet until we get to the trial. I think that's fine. I think it's fine. There's people who are convinced too. That's never been my problem. My problem is the claims which are external to them.
The problem is that he wants to make money off this too, of course.
Okay. I'm not sure I really care if you have a problem with what I think in my own spare time. I don't understand this like lecture that you just gave.
But he's he's just trying to sound smart. He won't shut the fuck up. He's talking to talk. He likes to hear himself talk. He's just speaking to speak. That's like literally what it is. And he's hoping that argument resonates with people to be like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, he sounds so reasonable based on this clarification. No.
But beyond that, what I'm saying is that the state is allowed to use.
This is what
my problem is. You guys are.
Yeah, he did. He's just so used to it because he works for TPUSA, lecturing people on how to debate. And he also used to be a sniper in the military, and he used to train people in the military to be sniper. And then he also used to teach guns in the NRA. Right. So these are all the different things that we used to do for us.
Not like, yeah, you guys think while it's still legal, you can. You are allowed to do that. So, but anyway, going back to you saying I wouldn't have a problem. I think I just demonstrated pretty thoroughly that what you claim that you have a problem with is exactly what the state is engaged in at this stage. So it just doesn't make sense.
That's not the case. In fact,
so if people look and they say, I'm looking at the gun and I see, and I'm inferring this, and someone else says, I'm looking at the gun evidence and I'm inferring that, they're both doing the exact same thing.
They're not.
You're just saying, I want to.
Well, aren't they, though?
Do it for the state.
That's propositionally false.
That is not propositionally
I'll explain
false.
exactly how. It is the case that every proposition is going to have a true or false conclusion, period. That's just logic, right?
He's debate fucking, he's doing he's doing the debate molestation shit again.
It's the law of excluded middle. All propositions are going to be true or they're going to be false. When we're making inferences, based on propositions. We can actually come to true conclusions with false premises inside of a proposition. In fact, what we're talking about here is not whether or not.
God, he's so fucking boring, dude.
You feel that you're convinced by this evidence.
But you felt like you were convinced.
Right? Sure. But here's the thing. When you ask me my reason, Andrew, why are you convinced by this? I can give you my reasons why I'm convinced by it, why it seems reasonable and rational
let's hear it.
To me to be convinced. You could even say,
oh, he's not going to give it.
But Andrew, I'm just not convinced by it. If that was the limitation of your claims, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. That's why I wanted to have the conversation, in fact, was so that we could.
He wanted the money, dude. He's trying to elevate himself more
into your actual claims that you've made, which transcend the idea of I'm just asking questions.
Before we get into that, your team has one thing they want to show before you go into that. So if you want to pull that up, this is the prosecution filing showing defense had full discovery by April 1st.
Oof.
They did not. That's not true.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
To date, the state's prosecutors have disclosed all evidence that is presently and reasonably available to them as required under Rule 16 Utah R Criminal, to be more precise, as of April 1st.
Yeah, that was not 100%. That's why they're caging that by saying what's reasonable. There was an entire, and we can pull this up, like we should now play the Kathy Nestor clip because that's from there. So, and they were basically saying you don't need it at this stage, meaning it's not reasonable that you're asking for this when we're going into a hearing that's just going to be based on hearsay and stuff, things of that nature. But of course, by the time a trial comes, you're going to get all of the discovery documents.
Show cause.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so that's
I'm even fine with it.
We all know. And then, by the way, just now that the hearing is over, and you can also fact check this, they now at the end of the preliminary hearing dropped like an insane amount of the discovery stuff they gave to them like the week after. You guys can give me the exact amount. I don't want to say because I don't know my I don't remember how much it was. It was an absurd amount of stuff that they gave to them right after the preliminary hearing that they had been asking for. Because that was one of the things that I kept saying on my show is as we were watching that preliminary of the preliminary, why not just give them the stuff now so they can engage in these arguments? Because I feel like it's like, I want to hear what they have to say about the text messages. Why can't you just give them what they're asking for so that they can actually engage you? And it didn't happen. So, but the judge ruled that it wasn't necessary at this stage. And that was the whole point of that.
Because it's
preliminary
a show
to preliminary. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Would you like to play the Kathy video?
Well, he's saying he's not disagreeing, so I don't think we need
there's
to.
There's no disagreement that she said that.
Yeah.
So I guess the disagreements now would move into the evidences that you have stated on the record, which transcend elements of reason.
Why are we having a transcendental conversation now? Because your entire thing was about looking at the evidence, which never made sense to me, again, because all of the evidence that you felt to be overwhelming was hearsay. That was bizarre to me.
You told me that I could take as much time as I wanted to question you on these things.
I'm just asking you just to lay the groundwork of what you're saying is
because
problematic,
you've made
that you decide
many
that it trips into something else. And I do still want to hold you for going through, because we've discussed the gun, we've discussed your...
and you can hold me to those things, but I would like to get into the things that you've said.
We should discuss the screwdriver as well.
So, and I'll explain exactly what the groundwork is. When you make claims which pass the idea of I'm just asking questions because the state's evidence is not convincing, I think you have to answer for those claims because they are in regards to this case. You're saying, I have a claim. It is in regards to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which is what we're talking about. Not just the case of Charlie Kirk, his assassination. You should have to answer for the claims that you've made in regards to the assassination itself. You should. Yeah, agreed. So if that's the case, then I would like to finally dive into some of that evidence and dive into it.
Well, just to be clear, and I'm happy to have you talk about, like I said, publicly, you want to engage in some conspiracies, but I said I want to make sure that we get to the substance of our debate. The substance of our debate
is the major
me demonstrating that all of the quote unquote evidence that you feel that you have, which demonstrates that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
You don't find convincing. I get it.
It's been invalidated by the testimony that we saw. And in your answer for when I explained to you that he had the most degraded prints was, I don't know. Okay, well, there lies my ability to process that.
It's just fine for you to not be convinced up to this point. All of your viewers.
Dude, he looks horrible, dude. How the fuck is he degrading so quickly? This is him in the beginning. Again, like, he's degrading rapidly. Is Candace like, I don't think Candace is like degrading this quickly.
Everybody watching, nobody's
you're conceding.
Nobody's giving a dispute that if all your claims ever were just up to now, the evidence that the state's given, I'm just kind of not convinced. That is not what's been happening. What's actually been happening is that you've made tons of claims in regards to this case and in regards to the Kirk assassination, which are far above and beyond, I just doubt, the state's theory.
Okay, yeah, I mean, sure.
I do doubt
the state's theory. I also am welcome to say what I think. You know, if you want to move into opinions, if you want to talk about Erica Kirk, if you want to talk about Turning Point USA,
I'd like to talk about all
and
of
get
it.
into it, I'm totally happy to do that. But I just want to say that, like, I do not feel, because I've said what's important to me is that we exhaust this topic first of our actual debate claims. I do not feel that you sufficiently have argued that the evidence is overwhelming.
Sorry, Candace, question for you.
But I am sorry you feel that way.
Candace, one question.
Whoa, passive aggressive. Like a woman, am I right, guys?
What evidence do you need to see for you to say Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
That's a great question. So I actually expected in this preliminary hearing, actually the inverse of what he was saying is true, right? So this is now the time the state is putting on their evidence. That's the purpose of this hearing, right? The state is using hearsay, but they're also putting on their evidence. So I was just expecting some sort of a slam dunk. Like, we got him on camera taking the shot. At least we have him clear on camera. You're telling me this guy drove 13 hours all around. Like, we can definitely show you a picture that it's going to be beyond a reasonable doubt before we even get to the trial. People are going to see and go, oh crap, like, it was really Tyler Robinson. I was expecting to at least see evidence that, because I had reported early on that the source was saying that Tyler did not step foot on campus that day. It is my perspective that he had something to do with something. I do believe he was putting, like... That's
very vague, but okay.
Disposing clothes at this stage, at this phase. I do believe he was disposing clothes. He was involved somehow. I find Lance to be more suspicious, if I'm being honest with you. And also, like I said,
Does she think that the trans person did it? Is that what her argument is?
Use immunity that was given to Lance by the feds, the fact that the feds didn't ask him any questions, the fact that I spoke with Lance Twiggs' family, and they were like, it's very weird that the feds are not asking him more questions. He's exactly the person that I would imagine to be involved in some stuff. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly. But when we got to the preliminary hearing, there was not a single piece of evidence that I felt was slam dunk. I was waiting for that, a photo. I mean, anything would have made me go, all right, I think this could be the guy. If they had handed over the discovery on the text messages, since that was their big, ta-da, we've got the text messages, that would be the first thing that I would hand over. But actually, who was holding them up? Like I said, it wasn't the prosecution. They're right to say we were handing things over, and we heard the defense argue on behalf of the prosecution saying it's not them and it's not the SBI, it's the FBI that's holding on to things. Because the FBI took everything. The FBI took the gun, the FBI took initially the screwdriver, and then when I heard testimony about the things that they found that were suspicious, example being the backpack, that's something that really bothers me, that they say they traced the shooter, they traced the route that he went on, and then there was an abandoned, we know it looks like he's wearing some sort of a backpack. We know that there was an abandoned backpack found at the bus stop in front of a library, and they felt that this should be taken into evidence. They took it. The FBI, this was the testimony of Amanda Baker, I believe her last name is, but you might want to fact check that because I think I'm blending last names. She was the forensics for the FBI. And then she says she gets a call on the 13th and they stop testing on this backpack because they find that the backpack actually belongs to somebody on Charlie's team. But if you know the map of the layout of the campus, you're going, well, what the hell are they doing all the way up? This is nowhere near anywhere. And by the way, that's not an acceptable answer for why you just gave it back. That's like, why would you give it back? You're acting like no one's ever been killed by somebody on their team before, right? So I found that to be very strange that it was on the exact route that the alleged gunman ran, and that their excuse was we just gave it back because we heard that this belonged to somebody on Charlie's team. So that to me is, this is why the investigation itself feels underwhelming. When you learn, and this is completely crazy to me, that some of the artifacts that Charlie was wearing were immediately returned to Erica. That's absurd.
Why? Why would that be absurd?
Absurd. Everything should be in evidence. When you learn that the
okay, maybe she's right.
car that they carried Charlie in to go to the hospital, they had immediately towed, cleaned, and back up for resale. That's absurd. That should be sitting in evidence. And any police officer that you speak to will say,
is that true? What?
Or a person that's been involved in a crime will say, I didn't get my...
Well, why would they investigate the car they transported him in, actually? That doesn't make any sense. Why would that be that's not part of the crime scene. That's like a transportation vehicle. Why would they also have to look at that?
My stuff back for years. That had nothing to do with anything.
That doesn't really make sense to me. If it happened inside of the fucking car, then sure, but he didn't get shot in a car. I don't think that they would actually need the car.
was just around. And they kept it into evidence until the trial was over, and it has to be approved. I think somebody said by the attorney general has to sign off on giving you those objects back. And we were told this is all fine. And we see, this is just one example, Erica holding the crucifix. That should be in evidence. Irrespective of if you feel bad for her, I think she should have it and it's sweet. That should be in evidence. Immediately paving over the crime scene. This is like the craziest thing ever. This like defies common sense. You immediately, and when you heard the guy who did it actually go up on a podcast and explain, I got the call. They said it was a paver emergency. I've never in my entire career heard of a paver emergency. They had already had someone come up and dig up the dirt. So by the time he got there on Sunday, the dirt had already been dug up for him to lay down pavers. That is what people are looking at and going.
Yeah, they don't impound ambulances. I don't think that they would. I mean, maybe some of his other possessions, maybe some of the clothes or whatever the fuck they're referring to, I suppose. But like, they wouldn't impound like fucking. They wouldn't impound the vehicle. The vehicle is a transportation metric.
There needs to be answers for why this was done. And he tells us the call came from the feds and the governor's office. UVUs washed their hands of it. And what he's saying sounds true because we heard during the testimony, one person described the regions of who was in control of everything. The feds were in control of the courtyard. So in order for anybody to have paved anything, that was federal territory, so to speak. I'm maybe not using that in the best cop term, but the feds were in control of the courtyard. So these are things that I think should be answered for. Why are we doing things differently than you would in any other criminal scenario of keeping the evidence until we know more, until we're confident, the various decoys. I did it. It just doesn't look right.
Okay, so go back to the question. So what would you need to see for you to say?
Something, if they had, I was expecting, here we have him, he took a shot, here it is. And then I'd be like, great, a clear image of him on the staircase where I'm like, that's definitively Tyler Robinson and he was on campus. We got nothing. We got literally nothing.
Well, it does sound like she's setting it up that there will never be anything that will convince her because they don't have like enough what you would consider objective proof for it. So
nothing but hearsay of people saying.
But you basically get no case.
What?
You basically no case on planet Earth. You get the
sure.
Oh, we got a picture. Here's him with the murder weapon.
Right.
Here's him taking the shot.
Most of this doesn't take place on a college campus that has surveillance everywhere.
Yeah,
one clear image of his.
But I don't understand when you're asked
car plates.
If you're asked the question, what would it take to convince? It'd be the same question be asked to me, Andrew. What would it take to convince you that the oppositional is
Patsy,
true, right? That he's a patsy or something like that. Just good, clear, concise evidence that's been presented, right, and is being presented that I could go through and link all together to see if there's actually some clear picture of there being a patsy. That's what it would take for me.
Okay,
just
I don't disagree with that.
Well, sure, but that's like a bit vague. So, but sure.
We haven't heard the defense
just
respond.
a good evidentiary standard, and then of course I would change my mind.
So just to qualify this, so there is a possibility in the next few months that you may come out and say, guys, it's done. Tyler killed him. Yeah. So you're saying yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for the audience here.
Without question.
For you, is there anything that you could see for you to say, yeah, this guy was a patsy?
Of course, I'm going to always follow evidence.
Perfect.
So my whole thing is just this. It's really important to me. I don't mind people being truth seekers and justice searchers, and the internet has helped solve tons of crimes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, right? However, there's also people who, they not only don't solve crimes, but they just come up with conjecture.
I'm like almost completely convinced that they wouldn't hold on to the car because it's not part of the crime scene. It's a transportation vehicle. They're not gonna impound your fucking car if you use it to transport somebody who's been shot as like part of the. It's not part of the crime scene. If it's not part of the crime scene, they're not gonna do it.
Sure, and what's called flooding the zone.
Nobody said Charlie was an ambulance. What we were saying is like they're not going to impound an ambulance if that's just a transportation vehicle. They're not going to impound your car if you just use it to transport somebody that was shot. That's not like how that would work. I'm very confident of that, unless you were shot in the car or it was involved in your shooting.
Flood the zone with tons and tons of conspiracy-based ideas, and they go nowhere, right?
And the judge didn't say take it, so that's why they didn't take it. So,
and in fact, they actually take away from legitimate investigation. Now, I'm not even saying anybody here is purposely flooding the zone. That's not even the claim. All I'm saying is that the claims made absent, this is just me not being convinced by the state's evidence. Those become claims, and claims have to be defended. Just like mine have to be defended, yours have to be defended. And that's what we're going to get to now, yeah?
You want to get into it? Would you guys like to take an ad break?
We'll take an ad
break.
And then we'll talk Erica Kirk and TPUSA.
And the conspiracies that have been conjectured by Candace Owens in regards to this case in the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Folks, we'll take a 3.5 minute break and we'll be back soon.
Wow, excellent stuff, man. They're going to take a 3.5 minute break. And that's where we're going to close part 1 of this wonderful debate.